the fuck is that guy?
I make my own moves, yeah, I'm bossing.
All weak bitches, please proceed to the exit.
Is there no one else? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
We are Not for the Weak.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Not for the Week. It's your boy James.
It's your boy Jay.
And we're with our boy Justin. Finally got him on the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here, man.
Justin Shier. He owns Duo Gym, a couple other businesses, and he's also a bodybuilder. Going for his pro card this year, hopefully.
Yeah.
And finally got him on the podcast.
Yeah, we've only been talking about it for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Busy man.
Yeah. Well, it was a 15-minute drive to get here.
Yeah, it's a struggle, dude.
We'll go to the gym after this. And It's about a 6-minute drive. So,
but stoked to have you here.
yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Got a cool story of how he got to where he's at, and got some cool topics we can touch on.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell him a little bit about kind of who you are? Like, so you started out as like BMX riding.
Yeah. I mean, I rode BMX since I was in high school, probably 14 years old. That was my thing before bodybuilding. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
You know, it was like one of those everyday things at the skate park or riding my bike around town. I eventually grew out of it. I ended up getting injured along the way, but yeah, that was my thing before bodybuilding. I thought for sure I'd be, the old man at the skate park.
Was that the goal to get like a sponsorship and be a pro?
I had a close friend of mine that did that. He was, on cover of magazines, had a really great contract with companies, traveled the world, and that was something I aspired to do. Absolutely, yeah. And I was good at riding BMX, but I was never going to be great.
Yeah, you were not going to win gold at the X Games or anything.
No. But and honestly, I dabbled with photography and videography, and that was like my in. I spent a lot of time behind the cameras, and that's what I really like to do. I like BMX. I like the lifestyle. I loved riding BMX. But ultimately, I kind of thought I would be able to infiltrate that world with my cameras.
Yeah, because that was like, how long ago was this? This was like what?
It's like 26, I think, when I stopped riding. So about 6 years ago.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's like BMX is was still growing and getting to be a massive mainstream thing. So it's like,
yeah, absolutely. It's still not, it's still a bit of a cult sport like bodybuilding. It's not big. It's not huge, but I like that about it. I was drawn to it. I like that when I wore my BMX gear, I ride my bike. Nobody understood it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody really got it. It wasn't mainstream like skateboarding.
Yeah.
And it just made me different. I always liked that.
It's kind of the same as bodybuilding. Yeah. It's definitely like it's a solo thing. Like you can choose to go to the skate park and work on your tricks and shit. Just like you can choose to go to the gym. It's like it's all on you at the end of the day kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I always gravitated towards. I never played any sports in high school. People see me being a stocky jack dude and assume that I played football or I wrestled, and I never did any of that stuff. I always rode BMX and fuck those dudes.
Did your own thing.
Yeah, which now, honestly, where I'm at now, I reflect back on that. I wish I would have been a little more sport-oriented. I wish I would have taken weightlifting in high school serious, because I could be probably in a much better place with what I'm doing now. But
what's incredible to me is to think that you realistically have only been going at it for 6 years, bodybuilding, right?
Yeah.
So for only 6 years, less than a decade, you've been just hitting the iron, and the progress that you've made in that amount of time is incredible, considering people like me who've been inconsistent for 10 years. Like, if you really think about it, I've been on and off since like 2011, and like just learning how to lift and things like that. And to me at the time, even now, I'm like, I'm pretty dedicated. Like, this is my life, whatever. I'm passionate about it. But if you just compare it's like apples to oranges, man. Like,
well, I think I do have good genetics for this stuff.
Yeah.
I can't deny it. I know I'm built well for it. I've got small joints, good muscle insertions. So a little bit of muscle looks like a lot on me. Yeah. And obviously, I'm I'm a fairly big guy. I'm a heavier guy. But even when I wasn't, when I was 190 pounds, I looked big.
Yeah. Well, when I first met you, and Jason, you were under 200 pounds, I think.
Yeah. And that was when I just started lifting.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this?
I was lifting before that a little bit, but it was to aid me in BMX. I thought going in and doing some curls, getting bigger arms,
Look good on the fucking bike.
Yeah. I thought maybe it'd benefit me in some way, as far as bunny hopping and shit like that. But there's no carryover. Trust me, there really isn't. I found that when I would work out and I would go ride my bike, you just deal with more issues.
The one thing
I do bicep tendonitis. My elbows still hurt from trying to,
The one thing I noticed about a lot of BMXers though is they all have really great fucking forearms. Like they all have like Mike. Remember Mike Payne?
Yeah.
He had the fucking jacked forearms. He was skinny ass arms, but his forearms were just always
hanging on, and calves.
Yeah, calves too.
Calves.
Now, what was the transitioning point? So, at some point, you decided you were just going to start lifting weights instead of riding BMX.
Yeah, it really wasn't that cut and dry. Like I said earlier, I got injured.
Yeah.
And I was actually riding my bike down 7th, which is that 7th that goes up?
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah. So
7th.
I was going down 7th Street. And me, my brother, and a few of our friends were hill bombing. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. So it was like a Wednesday night, I think. Streets were empty, and we're just tucking and flying.
Just going.
Yeah. And my bike doesn't have any brakes on it. We always rode brakeless. And so I'm just hill bombing, and I come around that blind corner on 7th and Evelyn, and I go face first into a car.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was my hat flew off, my eyes were watering. So I'm hauling ass. If I wanted to take a pedal, my gearing couldn't keep up with how fast I was going. So I was probably going 30. I'd say about 30 miles an hour.
And how was the car stationary or was it?
No,
driving?
the car was moving. So it was moving to traffic, and speed limit's 30 miles an hour. So it's
probably going 40.
probably going 40. Yeah. So, I would assume we probably met at a combined speed of, 50 to 60 miles an hour.
Shit. What kind of car was it?
Fuck, I don't remember. There's a picture on I think it was a Dodge. I think it might have been like your old lady's car.
Fucking Avengers.
Fucking Avenger. But yeah, I went face first into the car, went into the windshield. I was on the right-hand side of the road. So as I hit the car, I was kind of tucking against the sidewalk. And I remember I was hugging the sidewalk, and it was right as I thought we were going to drive past one another. This guy ended up like jerking the wheel into me. Oh. I don't think he's seen me. I think he just kind of caught me out of his peripherals, panicked, and he ended up pulling the wheel towards me. So if you look at like the pictures, I've got pictures on my Instagram where he hit me. His front tire was up on the curb, like aiming towards me.
Oh shit.
And so when I went into I didn't go into the windshield, but I did completely shatter his windshield. I ended up right in front of the car. I broke my femur in 3 places, so I broke it in 2 places, and in between those 2 places, I broke it in half. Fuck. So I broke here, and then these 2 pieces broke in half. I broke my femoral head completely off, and then a tibia fracture as well.
Jeez, so you basically broke your leg 5 times.
Yeah, broke in 5 places. Shit. And it wrecked me. It was pretty serious. And when I went into the windshield, I don't know what caught me, but something cut me on the back of my neck and actually nicked my carotid artery. So I'm laying on the ground and I'm bleeding out.
Yeah, you're just covered. I
bet. I actually had to have 6 units of blood put back in me, and a healthy male's body has about 7, 8 units of blood in it. Yeah, so I came
blood transfusion.
Yeah, I came very close to bleeding out, and I just remember that time laying on the ground and my leg was kind of twisted. I was wearing some cut off shorts, and my leg was so swollen, man. It was unbelievable, and I just remember blood squirting out of my neck. I touched the wound, and I immediately had blood just to my elbow.
Yeah.
Like my hand was completely drenched in blood. One thing about that story, just kind of weird and sketchy, I actually had somebody on my handlebars at that time.
Really?
Yeah, there was So we're at the top of town. We went to Muchos Gracias, little Mexican food place, ate some food, and we're getting ready to leave. And there's this chick that's walking out of this hotel, and she's clearly a dope head, and she's kind of, she's a kook.
She
asked for a ride. I'm like, we're on bikes, lady.
Yeah. Hey, can you give you a ride?
Yeah. And then she's like, I'll sit on your handlebars. She comes and she sits on my handlebars, and the way she sits, I think these hood rat girls, they do this stuff.
Yeah.
So she was clearly very familiar with the process, got on my handlebars and lounged back and sat back to where she was like.
Yeah, she was leaning into you.
She was like leaning on me. So I said, fuck it, let's go. And all I had to do was lift my feet, and we're rolling down that hill, and we're fucking hauling ass. Bombing. Yeah. So I'm flying down that hill, and my brother and my two friends are behind me, and I'm just walking away from them because I'm the weight of two people. And so by the time I hit that car, I was cooking. She ended up ejecting, missed the car entirely, and she slid, I don't know, maybe 200 feet away.
What?
Yeah, she slid. I mean, she slid into home base, man. Was
she fucked up?
Yeah, she's pretty fucked up. She ended up walking away, like walking out of the hospital that night. But it was such a scene, man. It's hard to explain because I'm sitting there, I'm laying there on the ground, and I've got blood shooting out of my neck. My leg's twisted, swollen. This car is steaming. I mean, I totaled that fucker.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Dude.
I mean, it's totaled.
You were probably what, like 180 pounds?
Yeah, it's about 185 pounds.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking force hitting.
Yeah.
60 miles an hour.
Yeah, so this thing was totaled, and it's steaming, windshield shattered. There were 3 little girls in the back seat. They're screaming bloody murder. The mom gets out of the car. She's towering over me, and she's screaming at me.
Oh, I bet.
She was intoxicated, but she was yelling at me.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. She's yelling at me like, "What the fuck did you do?"
Was she the driver?
Yeah. No, she wasn't the one driving. Yeah.
Asked you what you did as you're dying.
Yeah,
As you're
absolutely.
dying.
Instead of
Yeah. And that girl is about a half block away, and she is howling. So I got these 3 kids screaming, car is steaming. This lady's yelling at me. I've got blood shooting out of my neck. My leg's folded on itself, and this lady's just sitting here screaming at me. Man, it was a scene.
Did you go into shock right away, or was it?
Dude,
or did you feel the impact?
I fucking felt it.
Yeah, you felt it.
It was what I was like praying to go into shock because everybody talks about those moments where you don't feel.
Yeah, you don't
in
feel
shock.
it anymore.
Man, I was very aware of everything that was going on.
Fuck, that's gnarly.
Ambulance shows up, and they were quick. But what happened was, I was opposing traffic, so I'm driving, I'm heading down, opposing traffic.
Right.
So when the police showed up, they cited me. They gave me a ticket for
While you're on the fucking ground.
Yep. They gave me a ticket for opposing traffic, and gave me I think that was the only one actually. But he made me aware that he could have got me for what's that? Like a reckless endangerment or some crazy shit like that. And pretty much was like, I'm letting you off easy, kid. I said, oh, nice.
While you're like,
yeah. I'm literally bleeding out and dying. Yeah. And
that's wild.
So they rushed me to the hospital, and it was so bad. I'm in the ambulance with this chick, and she's trash. It was horrible. The guy that hit me was actually a black guy. So this girl is just yelling the most racist, horrible, just screaming the N-word over and over.
The girl that was on the handlebars?
Yeah. Oh, man. It was... by that time, my parents are there, my mom's there, and they're wondering, why are you with this
Yeah, who
girl?
is this chick?
And we get there. She ends up being pregnant and tested positive for methamphetamines. So they came in to tell me that my girlfriend tested positive for methamphetamines and that she is pregnant. They wanted to let me know that the kid was okay. I said, that's not my girlfriend. It's not my kid. I don't even know her.
They're like, sure, it's not your kid.
Yeah. And they went like pulled my parents aside and they're like, hey, his girlfriend's on dope. Like, that's not his girlfriend.
Nobody's believing it. Like,
Yeah, it was bad, man. But really, from there, it was just one of those things that I obviously got wrecked. I was in the ICU for a week, but when I got out, I was just hell bent on getting back to riding my bike.
Right.
So I didn't want to waste away. I didn't want to be that guy that, you know, fell off and got all skinny and couldn't ride bikes. And I fucking wanted this BMX thing so bad. So I just got into the gym. I was like, I need to start working out. So I was on crutches, going to the gym every day.
How long after was it? Because that's probably it's a major recovery, obviously, like shattering your leg like that.
Yeah.
Especially like the head of the femur. Like you gotta like that's gonna fuck you up. Like you have to learn how to walk again, almost kind of. Like how long were you in between like the accident and when you first walked into the gym? Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I had an accurate answer for you. I would assume it would had to have been
A couple months, maybe.
Month or two. Yeah. Because I mean, I was laid up in my bed, leg elevated, you know, in a cast. And I really couldn't. There's no way I could have moved for at least a month. Yeah. I don't really remember exactly how long it was, but I know as soon as I could, I did. I got into the gym
on some crutches in there.
Yep. Yeah, and I went to Anytime Fitness, which is essentially Planet Fitness, but it's a 24-hour gym. Yeah. So I was with my brother, and he has, you know, obviously I was late today. You guys know I'm late to everything. My brother, if I say, hey, let's go to the gym at 7.
He's there at 6:55.
No, bro. He's there at midnight. That's not an exaggeration, Jay. I think you know that. You know, if I'm like, hey, Jace, let's go to the gym at 7. Man, 10 o'clock rolls around. I'm going, what the fuck, dude?
He's like, oh, I thought you meant 7 tomorrow.
Yeah, so and it ended up working for our schedule, you know, and we were just kind of I was a complete night owl during that time because fuck man, you know, get up at 6 a.m. start my day. Well, it just wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the gym, and he would hand me my weights, and I would work out. He would rack my weights, and you know that's really where it began. I thought I was working out to get back on my bike.
Yeah.
And then you know, I got my first pump, man. That was it.
That was it, huh?
Yeah.
Fell in love with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a process. Obviously, you know, you start seeing progress, and, you know, next thing you know, your arms feel pumped and feel full, and, you know, you see some gains, man. That stuff's addicting.
And obviously, you can't do any leg shit, so you're just hitting arm pumps every fucking day. And
like,
exactly.
Shit. It was upper body for, honestly, it was upper body for 2 years, maybe 18 months.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, yeah, because I remember back at the YMCA, you were quarter squatting quarters.
Quarter squatting quarters. Yeah.
Quarter squatting
was
quarters.
Like 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, and
quarter squatting quarters. And during that time,
quarters.
I still had all the hardware in my leg.
Yeah.
And if I squatted to depth, I had a rod. I went from my knee to my hip. And if I squatted to depth, that rod was shearing my glute. So I could feel it in my glute.
In the muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up getting all my hardware removed because of that, because I wanted to be able to squat to depth. I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Because nobody's going to believe me. I can't squat to depth because I got this rod.
I got to break out my x-rays every time I do a half squat.
I remember you breaking a screw from deadlifting.
Yeah.
You like hit one of the plates in your leg, and it had like bent to broken.
Yeah, it wasn't, there was no... you know, impact that caused that. That was just deadlifting.
Yeah.
You know, while I have, you know,
metal
and screws. Yeah. So I ended up breaking a screw in my. It's got a plate and 8 screws right here on my shin bone.
Now, at what point during this whole process of like you really starting to chase like that pump and everything, did you ever think, man, you know what? I think I could be really fucking good at this. Does that even cross your mind now? Or
you know what? It didn't really click for a while. I mean, it takes a lot of, you know, positive reinforcement around you. Yeah. I think Sean Jackson was probably the first guy that came up to me and was like, "You could be good at this," you know. And you know, I seen it. You know, I was always kind of a stockier guy, so I always had you know, bigger arms, and you know, riding BMX, I was not, you know, I wasn't a twink, man. Mm-hmm. You know, I was always a pretty stout kid.
I was a skateboarder, man. I remember seeing BMX kids. BMX kids are small.
You know, I think they come in all shapes and sizes. But yeah, I think you know, just my build, like any stimulus, even back then, you know, just riding bikes, my body responded to it.
Yeah.
And you know, it has a lot to do with how I was raised, man. My mom fed us good. Yeah. You know, growing up, my mom made sure we had oatmeal and eggs before we went to school. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Every night it was like, yeah, I've been eating good. So I mean, it was real hearty home cooked meals, and you know, there wasn't Fruit Loops in in the cupboard, and it wasn't, just fuck microwave dinners. My mom made real meals.
Sounds like a terrible place to live. I don't want to be there. No Fruit Loops in the cupboard.
So
yeah.
So you talk about how when you get back into the gym after injury, at the time you are doing that with the thought process of, I'm doing this so I can get back to riding. Obviously that didn't happen. Obviously you didn't get back to riding. Was it that?
I did.
Oh, did you?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was my thought process. And it was, so I had a non-union in my femur. So when I broke that screw, they ended up pulling the hardware. And actually, no, that's wrong. So they replaced it. And then when I had that non-union, they had to pull that rod out of my femur and replace it with a bigger rod. And they did like a bone fusion there because they had to wallow out my femur to make room for that bigger rod. So they used that bone to fill in the gap, essentially fill in the gaps in my femur that didn't heal. So that was one surgery after that. And then following that, I did get another surgery to have the hardware removed. But this is over the course of 18 months, something like that. So, I mean, I was on crutch. That first stint was 8 months on crutches before they said, sorry, kid, your leg didn't heal.
Fuck.
I mean, it's 8 months on crutches. Yeah. And then it was like, we got to go in. We got to, give you some bigger hardware. And I think we got to do a bone fusion. Because the thing is, those two pieces that broke in half on my femur, one was attached to my femoral artery. Yeah. So they didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
I had already been bleeding out from hitting my carotid artery.
Yeah.
So essentially they just left that floating there.
Oh shit.
And it was just, cross your fingers, hopefully it makes a union. And it did. It did eventually make a union. But it was a long time. Yeah. So right now I have that mass in my leg. And you can see it when I hit like a front double or when I pose. You can see there's that bulge there. And I've showed you guys. You guys have seen it. But yeah, so it eventually made a union, but I have a huge mass right there on my quad because of that massive bone. I mean, it's pretty wild. If you look at the X-rays, it's kind of unbelievable, really.
So then, at what point then did you finally say, "Fuck, man, maybe I shouldn't ride anymore"? Because the hardest thing is that at the time was your dream.
Dude, I mean, yeah, there was a point in time where I gave up on my dream.
Yeah, so
and it was tough. So
what happened that caused you to say fuck?
So it was a few years later. I think about 3 years later, I started riding my bike and I started feeling good, and I ended up breaking my leg again. Same leg. So I make
same
it
places or
no. So I make it. I get back on my bike and I'm starting to feel good, and I ended up kind of going over the handlebars into the flat of the bowl. I was actually at a skate park in Portland. It's an indoor skate park. And I kind of bail over my bars. And just the way I land, I hyperextend my knee. Oh. I thought for sure I grenaded my knee. It felt like, I thought maybe I tore my ACL or something, because immediately that thing was the size of a grapefruit. Yeah. And ended up being a plateau fracture. So I fractured the top of my tibia. It fractured in 3 places. So this leg's actually been broken in 8 places.
Sick.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, and then that was that point where, I was traveling with a friend. We're in Portland. We're at some shitbox hotel. We go back, and him and another one of my buddies, they're drinking, and I'm just sitting in this hotel room with my leg broken again. So we went to the hospital, and I'm laying in that hotel room, and this fucker that's with us is snoring so loud, I can't sleep. My buddy Sean, actually moves my bed into the bathroom, the mattress, sets me up with the bed in the bathroom so I can sleep, because this dude, he's super overweight, and he's sleep apnea to the max, and he's snoring. I can't sleep. My leg's broken, and I'm like having a breakdown. I'm in that bathroom. I'm sleeping in a bathroom with a broken leg again. And I'm crying, and
it's like a low point.
What the fuck? I fought really hard to get here, and I was feeling very confident, and I was feeling very good, and then I broke my leg again. So at that point, it wasn't a bad break. Like I said, it was a fracture, but again, it was another 8 weeks on crutches, another 2 months on crutches. After I just spent that stint 8 months on crutches, and then I'm load bearing, but I didn't make a union, so then I have to have that surgery. So it's another 8 weeks on crutches. There's 10 months on crutches, and then this little stint goes by where I'm actually functioning, and you see me, I'm doing quarter squats with quarters. I'm getting my legs back, and then I break my leg again. I'm just like, man. So I'm back on crutches again, and this is over the course of close to 3 years at this point.
So 3 years of just fucking fighting.
Yeah.
3 years of upper body, bro. 3 years of every day's arm
Getting
day.
fucking on that Bradley Martin plan.
Yeah. And and it was I didn't really know what I was doing for that period of time. I think like I mentioned before the podcast, I was watching CT Fletcher.
Yeah.
That was my dog. I was like, this dude's the shit.
That was like right when he was popping off.
Yeah, I command you to grow stuff. I still get chills just thinking about it, because it just meant so much. Yeah. I was like, this is it, man. That's really what got me interested in this. And I was actually watching that stuff before I broke my leg, but it just didn't hit the same way. I was like, I still had my mindset on a certain direction. And but after that, I just you start immersing yourself in a different culture, and that's really what it is, man. I mean, I also just fell in love with the culture of it,
Yeah.
And it just started drifting away from BMX. I remember, I went to Austin, Texas. There was like a Texas Toast was like a huge event, and I went there, and went there with my buddy and my brother. And typically that's the fucking Olympia, man. Like that's like going to the Olympia. That would be like the coolest thing.
Yeah, the Olympia
for a
of
BMX.
BMX.
Yes, and or maybe the Arnold, because there's bigger events, but just one of those things that I should have really enjoyed. We're good, all right. And I didn't, man. I was just so uninterested, and I remember that moment. I was like, this sucks, dude. I don't even. And at that point, I hadn't really fallen in love with bodybuilding yet, and really hadn't taken the path that I'm at now. So I was just in this period where I just felt so vacant, man. It's like, what the fuck?
You're just kind of lost,
dude. I don't love BMX. I can barely walk. What the fuck's happening to me?
Yeah. I think that's a tough spot for like a lot of people, and I think a lot of people go through that, especially like in that period, like graduating high school or even graduating college, and you're like, you have this whole plan of what you want to do in like perfect world scenario, and then like it doesn't always work out. Like most of the time, it doesn't work out that way, and you end up doing something else. Like you end up pivoting. Like, and I think it's a hard period for people to adjust, because they don't always find that next thing that they want.
No, man, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's you see a lot of people that peaked in high school and loved football and think that was their thing, and now they don't have it.
Lazy sacks of shit, or they're just
and and it's
there's a hollow spot in their soul,
some
like
vacancy in their soul, man. Yeah.
Like I remember I graduated college, and I was like, I'm going to the NFL. Like I'm going to play. I went to all these tryouts. I spent like 2 years trying to make it. And then like you had to come to that realization that like, oh, this isn't it. I didn't get hurt. It was just more of a realization like, oh, I'm not at that level,
which might even be worse.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's better or if it's worse.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The injury, it takes it from you. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But having to make that choice.
Yeah. To have to realize, oh, this isn't
take an objective
for me.
look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough. Like I remember that was a down period of me. Like for the next year or so, like it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like I spent all this time investing in this dream, and now it's not gonna work out. And I remember it was a 2 year period after probably where I was just like depressed, like because you identify with that. Like I'm sure you identify with being a BMX
absolutely,
rider,
man. Yeah, it was like all of who I was.
Yeah,
and even my first 3-4 years of being in the gym, because when I first started getting in the gym, Jeremy was there. He was just a kid, you know, but
he's like 14.
I was wearing
Just
all my
Jack
BMX
Jeremy.
swag. I'm like, I got, I'm still wearing my Vans and my BMX gear, and I was still embodying that person. but just in the gym, and I had yet to find a different identity. And obviously at that time I thought I was still a BMX dude who was just going to the gym. So, but it requires a lot of soul searching, man, and being very honest with yourself. And I think luckily it was taken from me, and not that I couldn't have kept pursuing it, but I didn't care anymore, man.
You wouldn't also, maybe you wouldn't be where you are right now. Like you wouldn't have the gym. You wouldn't have, you wouldn't have met Jasmine, know? So it's completely different.
Yeah. It set me on a completely different trajectory. I had plans, a friend of mine was living in LA. I had plans to move down to LA with him because I honestly, with BMX, it was already to that point where I was not as talented as some of these guys. Right. I wasn't as fearless as these guys. Don't get me wrong. I could grind a handrail and do a backflip and a tail up and whatever, but I wasn't like these dudes. Yeah,
there's a different
there's levels to it for sure.
Yeah.
And but I had my in, and I had my in with my cameras, so I could live the lifestyle. I could travel, shoot photos, film. Like that's what I wanted. And it was, as long as I was in that culture, as long as I was in that industry in some fashion, I felt complete. But like I said, it just stopped meaning that to me. And thank God, because honestly, where I'm at now, I couldn't imagine.
Exactly, because you could probably had a really good career with BMX, like photography or whatnot.
It's
but
possible.
Maybe not as fulfilled as you are now.
And honestly, through this, I realized, man, I'm a homebody. I like being here in town. I have my businesses and I have my life here, and I feel so content.
Yeah,
and I feel so fortunate to be where I'm at, and I don't yearn for anything outside of what I'm doing right now, and that's a great place to be in.
And you've always been, well, from the time that I've known you, you've always struck me as a very hardworking person who's just able to overcome adversity after adversity, all the time. And you experience that a lot with opening businesses, with having to manage employees and manage losses, everything like that. And you always seem to come out on top. Do you ever wonder if that's because that's just who you are, or do you think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that you've been almost killed and have had to overcome so much?
I think there's a lot of takeaway, and there's a lot of value in experiences like this. And that really wasn't my first time, having a near-death experience. When I was 17, I had meningitis. I had bacterial meningitis, and I was in high school at the time. And but I was placed into a medically induced coma that I was in for 2 weeks. And I woke up. I had to have 3 of my fingers amputated, and I had liver and kidney failure. I was on life support and dialysis, and it was a very, very serious ordeal. And I was in the hospital for 3 months after that. So that was at a very early age. Man,
You're already just getting hit in the face.
Yeah, I got kicked in the teeth, really young. And man, obviously that was terrible, but there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There really is. I watched. It just caught. I had to grow up really fast. Mm-hmm. I had to really see what was important.
Yeah,
you faced
at a very young age
multiple times.
Yeah. That was a really scary experience. Obviously for my parents mostly. I was asleep for most of it.
Yeah, you weren't freaking out as bad as they were, I'm sure.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Think about 2 weeks from today. Your child is in a coma for that period of time.
Well, dude, I remember my dad had spinal meningitis, and they had to go in and do a spinal tap and everything, and my dad almost went blind. There was a period of time where he had lost his vision for 2 days, and he was in the hospital, and he was fucking blind.
Yeah, those spinal taps are no joke.
Yeah, spinal taps. They're
fucking needle
Well, it's crazy. Yeah, they flip you over, and they take this huge needle, and I watched.
They hammer that fucker into your back.
Oh yeah, they absolutely aren't gentle at all with it.
Yeah, they have to.
But I remember just being a kid, and watching my dad, and he just had spinal, which is still dangerous, but he wasn't dying.
Yeah, what he had was probably a viral meningitis, which is a virus, and it can be cleared up with a course of antibiotics, and mine just wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So you're in a coma, and then they take 3 of your fingers. It's like, fuck.
Okay, so that's another thing. Like with BMX, dude, I was a BMX head back then, and I just lost half my hand.
Yeah. How are you supposed to grab the handlebar?
Yeah. Luckily I have my index finger and my thumb, but I thought I was like, dude, it's done. And that was another thing. Come breaking my leg, I already made the comeback, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like I rode BMX and I got back to it and I could still ride. And it was a long road to get there. Yeah. You know, I mean, when I got out of the hospital, I mean, I was in the hospital for 3 months. I was in a wheelchair for, you know, a month or two after that. And I mean, I had to really relearn how to walk. I went to the hospital 165 pounds, 170 pounds. I came out 105. I was bedridden.
Yeah.
For
the
months.
atrophy, I'm sure, is insane.
I was Christian Bale in The Machinist, man. I mean, I came out, I was skinny. It's a good movie. You know? But I mean, they don't show it in movies, but you know, when people wake up from the coma and they're thrashing and looking around, I was paralyzed from the neck down, man. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was complete paralysis. I woke up and had no idea what was going on. I woke up and I had a breathing tube in my neck and a feeding tube in my nose, and my dad's towering over me. Yeah. You know, that's the first thing I remember. My dad's such a silly guy. He's just yelling at me, everything's okay. And I remember at that point in time,
you're like, this is not helping. Dude,
I couldn't breathe. You're trying to take a breath. You don't realize that this life support's breathing for you. Yeah. So I'm like gasping for air.
Oh, God.
But this machine is breathing for me. So I'm freaking out. And I think I just ended up passing out back, you know, right after that, because I don't really remember that. I remember that very vividly. And then I just remember, you know, being awake, no breathing tube. I still had the feeding tube in my nose. But man, that was, I mean, you guys are aware of how vivid a dream can seem when you fall asleep for 15 minutes on the couch.
Oh, yeah.
I lived in that bitch for 2 weeks.
No. Do you remember what you dreamed about?
Yeah, I had a lot of very horrible dreams. And what they told my parents was, and they told me this as well, but some of the drugs that they use cause nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, so I had...
Hoping that it'll wake you up or something?
No, it's just one of the side effects, man. Huh. You know, I mean, some drugs just do certain things, and one of the side effects is nightmares, like it's really vivid dreams. But every single dream I had, I was fighting for my life. Every single one. I remember I had a dream. My grandparents, actually Hunter's grandparents, and my cousin's grandparents, had me tied up in their living room. And I was tied up on the ground with a bunch of other naked bodies. We were all naked. And we were in this dream. I was tied up in barbed wire. And I was like gagged. And they were gassing the room. So like I was in some gas chamber where
Jesus.
These people are they're, you know, it's like my grandma, man, you know. People that I love dearly, you know, and in this dream they're killing me. And another dream, I got in a motorcycle accident where I knocked out all my teeth. So actually when I woke up from the coma, I thought I didn't have my teeth. So that's why I thought I was there. Yeah. And my mom had to show me a mirror and show me that I had my teeth. And I'm just, what the fuck, man?
Trippy.
You know, I didn't believe it. You know, I just remember breaking down crying like, because dude, I mean, I believed these things to be true.
You know, I used to have this reoccurring nightmare. I had it for years, and I'm talking like 3-4 times a week. I would have the same exact dream. And the dream was I was a kid. I mean, I was a kid when I had these dreams, but I was like a baby, and my mom would attempt to drown me in a pool. And I would just have this constant dream where she's holding me underwater, and I'm like trying to come up, and I would die in my dream. And I would wake up in tears. Mm-hmm. For years, I had the same fucking dream.
That's a horrible dream.
And I remember, so I know what you're talking about, because I'm like, dude, I remember having dreams like that. Well, that one specifically, I'll never ever forget it, because
obviously you wake up and you're not dead, so you're
aware
it's a
and
dream.
I'm not dead, so I'm aware it's a dream. But that feeling of like a loved one killing me, my mom drowning me. I'm waking up in tears. I'm sweating. I'm like, Jesus. And
I remember one of the moments that I really I was accepting that all this wasn't real. I had this 32 snowboarding shirt. I don't know if you're familiar with the brand. Yeah. At the time, I was snowboarding a lot. I loved this shirt. And in my dream, one of my mom's friends like assaulted me. She grabbed me by my shirt and she yanked me and she tore my shirt. And I told my mom, I was like, Kathleen tore my favorite fucking shirt.
How dare
she?
And
I was pissed, you know? And it's like she tore my shirt. My mom showed up the next day because I was in Medford, the ICU, so she had to come home. She brought me that shirt. And I was fucking bawling, man. I was like, what is real, you know?
What is life right
now? And I suffered a lot of swelling in my brain during that time. So, and one of the side effects of all this is you're so emotional, man.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
To this day, I cry at every movie. We watched The Croods this morning, and I was like getting teared up. I've seen that movie like 8 times. It's just so sweet. Yeah. But I was overly emotional.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to accept that. You start.
Well, dude, you for 2 weeks you lived your life through dreams, through something that wasn't real. That you lived your life through nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and it was
all these terrible things, and none of them actually ever happened. And then you finally wake up, but for 2 weeks,
and to face that, and to have my mom holding that shirt, it's like, man. So I mean, there was a period of time where I was in denial about it. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Yeah. This happened. Trust me.
I lost.
Trust.
I need that.
Trust me.
I need that
happened.
shirt, and I need my fucking teeth.
Yeah. So, and the hardest thing about that was, man, I woke up, and obviously I had sepsis in my hand, and if you looked at my fingers, it was like Mr. Deeds. It was like, frostbite. And what they told me was, they didn't tell me the first day or two. There was actually like a nurse that came in and said something about needing to amputate the fingers, and I was
this bitch.
I didn't know about it.
Another dream.
So I'm like,
this is a dream.
Yeah. So I remember my mom was upset and scolded the guy, and but it was like, okay, now we got to face this, because I didn't know about it for the first few days, because I think I'm in a bed. I'm in a hospital bed, and I'm literally paralyzed from the neck down. And I hate when people use that word over and over, literally. But
literally,
I was actually genuinely suffering from paralysis from my neck down. And so I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't wiggle my toes. I mean, I remember it was a few weeks before I was like, yo, my toe, I'm wiggling my toes, And so they came in and told me about my hand. They showed me, and they had they had been drawing lines, little with a marker to mark how it's traveling, and they were worried that it was going to get worse. We have to do this. Yeah. So they told me, it's like 2 days after I woke up out of a coma. I'm 17, and they tell me, we can get you in for surgery tomorrow or next Friday. So sleep on it. So you can cut off half my hand now or later. And I had to make that decision. I was like, that was so hard, man. And I ended up doing it that next day. Mm-hmm. But like to wake up and they tell you, and they're like, we're going to cut your fingers off tomorrow.
3 of them.
Yeah.
3 of your 5 fingers.
Yeah. And all I can think about is BMX, man. That is it.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. It's like, you guys, dude, it'd be like you're.
Yeah, that's fucking
How much do you love deadlifting?
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to chop off half your hand, and you might not be able to deadlift ever again.
Oh, man.
It was tough, man. I mean, obviously, you guys see me. I can still deadlift. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I've adapted. I use straps a lot. Honestly, most people don't even know I have this on my hand.
I mean, unless you shake.
Unless I shake their hands. Yeah. And sometimes I can get a good handshake where I get under it.
Yeah.
And they don't know. But sometimes you get that half-ass handshake where
they're like, oh.
Yeah.
They're like,
and it's the worst, man. You shake someone's hand, and the first thing they do is
they probably yank their hand back. Like, what the fuck?
I haven't really had much yanking, but I definitely have a lot of looking.
Yeah.
They look at, and I just sometimes I just show them, yeah. And honestly, I just chops off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
end of
simpler
story.
than telling them
end of
the
story.
whole story.
Yeah, because I really don't want to get into it unless you're somebody I give a shit about, then I can tell you the story. But most people I give a shit about already know the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was really difficult, and that's a big decision for a child to make. Yeah.
How old were you at that time?
I was 17. I was a kid, and I didn't really have a choice in the matter. It had to happen.
Yeah.
But
Otherwise
to choose the day, and I remember that being very difficult. So I remember coming back and riding BMX after that. And there's a ledge at the skate park that, it's the one that's down the bank. Mm-hmm. It's this tall.
Yeah.
To grind it, you have to bunny hop, I think, an inch, man.
Oh, shit.
So I wanted to grind that fucker bad. And it had been some time, maybe a year after. And I went to go bunny hop, and my hand slipped off, and I hit myself in the throat.
Oh man,
dude! And then I'm hit myself in the throat, and then I just tumble and I'm rolling down the bank, and I feel so defeated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I can't breathe. I just can't grind, and I can't grind the 10-inch ledge at our skate park. So to go through all of that, and it was years of learning my body and figuring out how. I mean, honestly, it took me years to gain weight. To get back up to 165, 170 pounds was a multi-year process. So I had already made that comeback. So when I broke my leg, I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing it again. I can't do this again.
Yeah.
I can't start, because I'd go to the skate park and I'd feel so squirrely and so sketchy. I don't want to do it again. Yeah. I don't want to put the year or 2 years into just trying to figure this thing out again. I was over it. And honestly, nothing, BMX, I love it, man. But I couldn't be happier that I'm not down at the skate park with little scooter kids.
Yeah.
Riding around. And that, obviously there was much more to BMX than just hanging out at the skate park. But I appreciate my lifestyle a lot more.
Yeah, you're just not in love with that culture anymore.
No.
To an extent.
No, I'm not. And I still, I still follow all the BMX dudes. And honestly, I need to clean up my Instagram, because I follow everybody from the BMX world and everybody from the bodybuilding world. And then I also follow like all these cannabis dudes, because I own a cannabis business, so my feed is just such a muddy
all
mishmash.
over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely good that you've gone through all that shit, because you do learn, especially for the bodybuilding aspect of it, because you've learned now how your body responds to certain things. You know how to, you're so familiar with your body because of having to adapt to, having the screws in your leg and the pins in your leg, and then not having 3 fingers. So it's almost like you're more in tune with your body, which I'm sure carries over quite a bit to actually building muscle and figuring out what works for you there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that what I have the biggest benefit is understanding that pain threshold.
Yeah.
And I've had to work really hard to train pain-free so I can heal an injury.
Yeah.
Because this leg wasn't going to heal if I was kept hurting it every day in the gym. So you get creative and you learn how to work around these things. And I think that longevity in any sport is boils down to just being able to avoid putting your body in harm. And obviously it's inevitable with what we do. There's always a risk and everything.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna feel. You're not gonna feel great every day.
Yeah, it happens. But I learned pretty young to not just push that threshold. I deadlifted and snapped a screw in my leg, and
Well, I think that's especially huge with especially with the younger, as you start getting into lifting weights, you can go one or two ways. You're either the dude that maxes out every single day, or trains to failure every single day, or you're the dude that doesn't break a sweat. You know what I mean? You either go
there's
one,
a fine line there.
either go one of those two ways. There's
Yeah.
very few people that are actually in the middle, where they're train hard, listen to their body, and they can take a deload week, or they can take a deload day.
I was that max out guy, man. Trust me.
Well, there's a lot. I was that dude too. I think everyone that trains really, really hard actually starts out as that dude. Very few people actually start out oh, I'm going to listen to my body. I'm not going to deadlift to a 1 rep max today.
I was like, let's see it.
You used to do 1 rep max curls.
Dude, I've done that before.
No, but Jay did it all the time.
Because CT Fletcher, so I would always do 1 rep.
Try to
max
get those 22-inch arms.
Yeah, I'd always try for the 65 in 5 weeks. 5 weeks in a row.
One arm preacher curl.
Yeah, 1 arm preacher curl 65s, and 5 weeks in a row I couldn't get it, and then finally I could get it for 1, and then I could get it for 2, and then I was able to get it for reps, and I was like, time to move on to the 7s.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I remember that, and I remember thinking that was pretty dumb. But back then, you were honestly, man, you're just a 16-year-old kid.
Yep.
And I remember you just obsessing over this fucking curl
and shoulders. I was always maxing out on shoulder press.
That's had some carryover. I mean, you've got really strong shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, because 16 I was shoulder pressing 110s for 10 to 15 reps.
Yeah, I think that's about where you're at now too. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it is.
Peaked in high school.
Peaked in high school, man. So ultimately, with everything that's happened, as of right now, where do you see yourself in the sport of bodybuilding? Obviously, I know you would like to take it as far as possible, but you don't train without a purpose. So right now, what is your purpose?
Honestly, I'm career motivated with it, man. You know, I mean, with all my businesses, I think that I've just learned that you either just all in or nothing. You know, and I think this is one of those moments where, I'm going to do USA's this year. I'm going to do a national show and put myself in some deep water and see how I do. And I'm pretty confident. I think I can do well. But yeah, ultimately, man, I want my pro card, and I would like to be a career professional. I think I see the talent pool in the current state of bodybuilding, and I think I can fit in, man. I really do.
I think so too.
Well, I think if the average person, if you told them that this was your first year competing this past year, a lot of people wouldn't believe that, because you do look like you've been around the sport for so long.
Yeah, I think I do. I look, somewhat seasoned, but this is my first off season I've ever had. Before this, it was just looking good and owning a gym, which isn't really the same thing at all. It's a completely different world. So I never really pushed the calories up. I never really, I was not eating 6 meals a day and obsessing over every centimeter of growth.
I think
this is the long game, man. This stuff takes time, and I know that the amount of progress I've made in this last year of really honing in and taking this shit serious. I think that in 3 to 5, I think I could be dangerous. I
think that's huge. And Jay and I were talking about that before you got here. Actually, is the importance of like the consistency and being consistent with your meals, being consistent with your training, like how much progress you can actually make if you are consistent over a longer period of time. Like what, like, cause you've been working out for years, right? Like the last 5-6 years.
Right.
But now this past year, you've taken your body to a whole new level.
Right.
Because I'm sure that discipline has changed.
Yeah. And essentially I introduced, 2,000 plus more calories a day. And I've always been consistent in the gym. I always loved training, but I would say my focal point was never, the training. I've changed my ideology a lot on what I'm doing in the gym, and I train with a purpose now. I never had a reason to look in the mirror and go, "Oh, my rear delts blow. Let's blast these things." Whatever, I'd hit them.
That's one thing that I really admire about the way that you train, is like how methodical you are with the process of everything that you do. Like everything that you do in the gym is a purpose. You're not just fucking around in there.
Yeah.
Like you come in there to work on weak points. You know how to work on those weak points. Like I was telling you, that's what we were talking about last night when I was in the gym, right?
Yeah.
And as of recent,
I think even before that, I was pretty, objective with, what I need to do, but I just didn't have a reason. Yeah. And I didn't have like, dude, you're doing a show next month or next year, excuse me, and you got to bring this stuff up. Yeah. So it's like setting those timelines and having those timelines that that you have to improve by this point. It's different. Yep. You guys understand, like peaking for a powerlifting meet.
Yeah, I know how it is.
You have to put a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, it's a different thing. And I think like when people look at the sport of bodybuilding, like just from the outside without being too attached to it, they think, oh, it's just working out more consistently, or it's working. They don't necessarily value the exercise like selection that you take into account in your training. They think, oh, he's just changing up the exercises because he's bored. It's like when you see somebody and they're always doing lat pull downs, and then maybe they change up the handle one day because they're bored.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're actually changing up the exercise selection or the exercise order or your split because you're trying to bring up weak
points. Yeah. And I think there's actually one thing that really bothers me that I see in the gym more than anything is just like the buffet style of movement selections. You see, even Nick knows how to train, but I remember I did barbell incline one week. Next week I did barbell incline. He came and goes, "Well, you just did that last week." I said, "I'm gonna do it next week too."
I'm gonna do it for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, why? I truly believe I could walk in and do incline barbell bench press every chest workout for the next 10 years and make progress.
Well, that's what Ronnie used to talk about. He did the same exact workout every day for 6 or 7 years, every year.
Yeah, and guys like, Dorian, who never, didn't vary exercise selection a lot. He didn't have a whole lot of, the equipment that we have these days.
nowadays.
You know what I mean? But it was just focusing on those bread and butter movements, progressing in those movements.
And Dorian has arguably one of the best backs in the fucking entire industry, man.
Yeah. I think that's hard to deny. But yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people I see so many kids getting on the hammer strength machine and pressing it sideways when they can't even get on it straight and just push, put 3 plates on it.
Yeah.
Give me some reps.
They're doing like a quarter, and they're like this. And
yeah, trust me, it doesn't have to be that precise for you, kid. You need to just use the machine how it's meant to be used, and progress in weight, and just get better at the movement. Why is it enough for me to just go do an incline barbell, but you got kids laying on the ground holding cables and doing single arm flat? Stop it.
Yeah,
just do the bread and butter movements, man. Get, hone in on those movement patterns, increase load. And, it's tough because you see a lot, it's heavily skewed by social media.
Oh, 100%.
I appreciate what Julian Smith does, and it's kind of like his thing. It's his niche. But when he's showing all these kids, all these fancy movements, you got him doing spread eagle squats.
Yeah.
With no weight on the bar in the Smith machine. That's not how he built his legs.
Or he'll do some sissy squats from a box with a Smith machine bar with no weight. And it's like,
yeah,
he's doing that for like maybe 15 reps. It's like,
right,
dude, now you got like a whole generation of kids that can't squat body weight,
right?
Let alone with a barbell with 135 on it. And now they're doing sissy squatting, and they're thinking, oh, this is going to give me wheels like Julian Smith.
Yeah, it's honestly a shame, and I don't blame him for what he's doing.
No,
I think
he's marketing.
He's created. Yeah, it's his brand. It's kind of what he's known for. But you have, like I said, we have kids in our gym currently that are doing this stuff, and it please do a barbell back squat and progress, and
Well, it's almost like there's too much information out there right now. Like there's too many experts. There's too many Instagram, trainers. Like Chrissy was showing me some guy the other day. He's 15 years old. He's been training for maybe 2 years, and he's already selling diet plans and workout plans. It's like, you're not a trainer, dude. Like you haven't been training long enough to know what the fuck you're talking about, to be honest. And, but yeah, I think it goes down to like the whole ADD generation. Like people don't want to do the same exercise every day. Like it's boring because it's not necessarily fun.
No, yeah. I mean, it becomes monotonous. But where it becomes fun for me is having that number in mind, having that weight in mind that beat you last week, and this week you're going to progress. And I think honestly, I appreciate this style of training way more because I have target numbers and goals in mind that I want to do and that I want to increase, and I want to, progressive overload, man. I think that should be the foundation of everybody's training.
Yeah, it's like I got 275 for 9 reps last week now, and I failed on 10. This week I want to try to get that 10th rep clean. Yeah. Or I want to do this cleaner than I did last week. Like it was an ugly set last week. Now I want to hit it. But people,
just a different, just the difference from like people like us. So it's hard to put myself in your guys' category because I don't hold myself to the tier, like to your guys' tier.
I don't think that's
fair, it's all relative.
Yeah,
but it's all relative. Yeah, and like that's how I train too. That's how most like pretty serious weightlifters, I guess, would train. It's that number and it's that training and it's that like excitement. But a lot of kids, like kids my age, you know what I mean? I guess I would say that I'm pretty mature for being 22, but a lot of kids that are 22 and younger, they look at these fancy workouts and it's like fun. It's shiny. It's trendy to go to the gym right now.
Yeah.
It's trendy and it's fun and it's hip to go to the gym.
But you know what isn't trendy and fun and hip and shiny and pretty is hard fucking work.
Exactly.
Man.
And it shows not in the gym, but honestly, like it goes so much further than that. Like right now, like my generation and generations to come, like it shows in workplaces. How many kids have you hired who probably have said they're hard workers who aren't hard workers?
Everyone.
Exactly.
Or they're
almost everyone. Excuse me. I have some great employees. I really do. But I think
as an employer, you know how it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these kids are like, yeah, I want to work hard, and then you have them dig 800 holes, and you're kind of like, they're kind of like, man, this sucks.
Yeah. I know. And again, that's not cosmetic, and that's not fun. It's hard. It's hard work. Yeah. And you see so many of these kids enter the gym. Their hair looks really nice.
Yeah.
And
they got really nice shoes on.
Yeah, and they're wearing a crew neck shirt And at the end of the workout, that crew neck isn't sweaty and stretched out.
Yeah.
Dude, my shit's so blown out at the end of my workout. I look like shit at the end of my workout. And I take pride in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's that's the biggest thing. The sweat aspect of it. Like I'll see dudes and they'll like, oh yeah, I just worked out, and like they're out doing like shit. It's like, how are you doing this? Like if I was working out and I went out and tried to go like to dinner or go out to lunch, like I would look like shit.
Yeah.
I would smell. I would be covered in sweat. It's like, I have to go home and shower.
You got chalk on your pants.
Yeah, I gotta go home and shower, dude. Like, there's no way I can go about my day. Like, oh, I hit the gym for 30 minutes, I'm good to go.
You know, and I guess it's goal specific, man. You got a lot of these kids that don't really want to do that, and that's not really, you know, what they want to do. I don't think they understand it's what they have to do to
get to the
progress.
look that they want.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of people just enjoy the social setting of the gym. They enjoy casually training. They enjoy getting a pump, and
I can't fault them for that. No.
You can't, you know, and some people don't want to get too big, and I don't know if they really believe that. I personally don't think they do, but you hear it.
Yeah. No,
you know,
it's interesting though, because and I don't even necessarily think it's like what you're exposed. Maybe it is what you were exposed to, because I remember the first time I went to a weight room was when I was playing football. And we were working out with like a bunch of seniors going to D1 schools. It's like, these guys fucking worked out. So like that was my first gym experience. But I guess a lot of kids nowadays, if you're not playing like a team sport, or if you're not familiar with like like Dorian or Arnold, like you're not watching those videos when you're growing up, and you go to like a Planet Fitness and you see everybody like kind of just like socializing and whatnot. Maybe
everyone's watching Christian Guzman. I mean,
don't say Christian Guzman, because Christian actually fucking works hard.
Yeah, he really does.
They're looking at some of these EDM guys like fucking.
And again, a lot of these dudes are jacked, and they did put in a lot of work to get where they're at. But nobody wants to. It's not sexy when you film your top set on a leg press and you're shaking like you just shit your pants. Yeah. And you're sweating.
Or you fail a rep, and people don't want to see, like, oh, I can't put that on social media because I failed that rep.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get 8.
It's a lot cuter to just put on like a cable curl and where you got a good pump in good lighting with a nice tan.
Yeah.
That's attractive, and that's for their brand, you know, but I think there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really understand. Exactly. And luckily, you're talking about exposure. I think our gym has done a wonderful job of exposing people to some real training. Yeah. You know, we've got a lot of people that work really hard in our gym. Yeah. You know, and there's a lot of
different aspects of fitness too, like powerlifting, CrossFit, bodybuilding. Like there's
definitely. You know, and I think that's been huge. You know, I think there's a lot of stepping stone gyms in this town. You know, you got Planet Fitness, where I know half of our members were there first. Yeah. And now they're here. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think it's stepping outside of their comfort zone, but they get to see James deadlifting 700 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't get to walk in Planet Fitness and watch some dude pulling 700 off the floor. You know, you really don't.
Or they get to see, you know,
Jasmine doing some
crazy
muscle ups and fucking snatches, and
or Greg bench pressing over 400 pounds and he's the size of an ant. You know what I mean? Like that's incredible things to see.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, and I think that
it's like Instagram. It's like they're walking into an Instagram.
Yeah, they're walking into the explore page on the fitness category.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
No, it is good, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to provide that for people. And when I started the gym, I mean, that's all I wanted to do was build the gym that I knew I wanted and we needed. Yeah. And I didn't try to cater to any specific demographic. I just built what I genuinely wanted, what I thought was going to be the best possible place for me, my fiance, us to train. And man, I think it gained a lot of traction because of that. I didn't really try to appeal to any demographic. I didn't have any. Honestly, I want to monetize my business, but I could be more successful if we didn't paint it black and I didn't put on rap music. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't just give away,
put a Group X class in there,
right.
But spin studio,
but it messes with the feel, man. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, and obviously there's chalk all over the floor. You know, like it would be a cleaner environment if I said no chalk. Yeah, and I could charge people for towels. You know, and like you said, we could do some group classes, and I could monetize it in so many different fashions. But I didn't want to do any of that because these are the things that I hate about the gym. You know, you get to walk in when Jeremy was working for me. He was just wearing this, and he looked comfortable and casual, and you felt good.
Yeah.
You know, you feel welcome. It's a welcoming environment. You know, it's a great day at the Club Northwest. That shit sucks,
Dude,
man.
I remember-
and nothing against the Club Northwest. They have their demographic, and they've done a great job with their business. It's a great business.
Fuck that place.
Yeah, fuck that.
But no, seriously though, like if you go to a big gym like the club, and you go over to a gym like Duo, the feeling is such a complete, like Duo. It sounds biased because I've worked there forever, and but I've been there since the beginning. But Duo is a home, man. It's more than a gym.
Yeah.
And like the owners, you and Jasmine, that gym is just a spitting image of you guys and everything that you stand for as people and as owners. Like you bring so much value to the gym. Most business owners sit at their desk. You know, I know the club's owner, he just...
Well, they don't even use the gym.
They don't even use the gym, right?
Yeah, I think that's another big thing that
You're
people
living
appreciate.
the lifestyle.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm on the floor. I'm training with you guys.
And you're training hard, and you look good.
I think it boils down to setting a good example, man. I think that my gym runs well because I'm down there and I set an example of how you're supposed to train, how you're supposed to respect the equipment, how you're supposed to respect the members, and they get to see that, you know. And I think that's huge. It's
cliche almost because like people don't want to say that, but it's like you have to look the part and you have to live the lifestyle. Like it's like people nowadays want to be like, oh, like it doesn't matter how you look, but you're not going to hire an overweight trainer. You're not going to hire a trainer that doesn't work out. Like, no offense to those trainers out there that are overweight or don't work out as, you know, but if you're not doing the program that you're expecting somebody else to follow,
or at least in one point in time had implemented. I mean, I know there's plenty of overweight trainers that can bring a lot of value to people.
Yeah,
you know?
Because they've been there probably.
Sure.
They're not shredded right now, but they've
Right.
been shredded. Or they may not deadlift 800 pounds now, but they've at one point, you know, gotten close, or they've done that.
Find somebody that's walked the walk, man.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
but you can't just be like,
What are your credentials?
It's
What
not
have you
like
done?
this person was 400 pounds and they you know maybe lost 50 pounds and now they're like telling you how to do a muscle up. And they've never done a muscle up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's huge.
You see that a lot. You see just because advice is free, you know what I mean? And you see that a lot happen. Like these kids are helping these other kids and telling them the wrong things. And
Yeah, that's
they've
tough.
never,
and you know, it's tough because I do insert myself a lot in those situations. But we have a lot of young, impressionable people at our gym. A lot of these Dutch Bros kids that, you know, feel pretty confident in sharing some advice, and it's not always right, you know. And I think that it's good because I see that the people in our gym actually value the advice that I give. And I'm not a trainer. I don't charge anybody, but I do appreciate helping somebody. You know, and if I hear bad advice, I like to nip that shit in the bud, man. I really do.
Well, because there's so much of it going around. Like, you know, there's so much information on the internet that anybody, you know, you can watch a couple YouTube videos and now, oh shit, I know how to train. I know how to tell somebody to diet. And so, you know, I started working out for a couple of weeks, and then my buddy sees, oh, he's been working out, he's starting to look good. Like, I want to look like that too. And so information spreads that way, and that's a dangerous trend sometimes.
It is, man. Yeah. It's a slippery slope. Yeah.
Now, with everything that you've gone through in your life and where you're at now, everything that you've had to face and overcome, what would be your best advice to give to people going through just their day-to-day stuff? Because obviously everyone goes through their own things.
Yeah.
And everyone's shit is their own shit. So what's your best advice you would give to kids who just feel stuck, or kids who are just trying to push but are just having a hard time? Because you've been there multiple times.
Yeah, and I think you say that, you know, after everything you've been through in your life, how do you know, what kind of advice do you give? I don't really look at it like that, man. I think I was placed in a position that, did I have a choice? You know, I really didn't. You know, I mean, I was just put into these situations, and you got to do what you got to do. You know, and if you have aspirations to be greater than that situation, then you absolutely just have to pull yourself out of it. There's a lot of people that would be walking with a cane with my leg injury. Trust me. When I asked my doctor, will I recover 100%? I'll never forget this. He told me, that's up to you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's up to you.
That's powerful shit.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And that was huge. I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And one thing he said is, he said, you'll probably always know it's your broken leg. And to an extent, that's true, because some days, you know, my hip, it hurts. My hip and my low back, I have some issues because of it. But some days, I'll have to question, wait, which one was it?
Yeah.
You know, so it's not entirely true. I've gotten to a point where I've actually rehabbed this thing and made it so strong that there are days that I don't even know which one it is.
Oh, and it shows in your photos, and it shows on stage like how massive your legs are.
Well, you could almost if you didn't know that you had broken your leg, I don't think the average person would be able to tell.
No, and I think that, you know, it's tough because right now, objectively, maybe I am a little bit top heavy on like some of my stage shots, you know, especially when it comes to hamstrings, glutes, something like that. But dude, I'm like 3 years behind training.
Yeah.
You know, I've only been training my legs for like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And I've been training my upper body for 6, 7 years. You
And
know,
overall, you've only been training for 6 years, but
Yeah,
you made
yeah.
such massive progress.
yeah.
You know?
So I think that, you know, even when I was riding BMX, my legs were always thick. You guys know I've got huge calves.
Yeah.
I've never done a calf raise. But
those
I
RDLs.
think my legs are actually just or actually a strong point that I haven't yet to be able to you know, portray it in my physique. And I'm getting there. My legs have grown a lot this year.
Yeah.
They really have. But you know, it was not easy. And for those kids that, you know, maybe are people that are in a tough spot, man, I mean, it's just
gotta do it.
you just got to do it.
well,
You
it's
know
never
what I mean?
it's never gonna be easy.
No, it's never going to be easy. Yeah. It's just, it is tough. It is hard. And people, I remember getting this question a lot. Oh, does it hurt? Yeah.
Every
You know, of
fucking day.
course. Yeah, of course it hurts. You
Well,
know?
and it's like I was telling Kai, I was like, you know, dude, I was like, believe it or not, because she's like, she's like, your feet hurt all the time. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I wake up every day in pain. My right foot and my ankles hurt all the time.
Yeah.
I have fucked up feet.
Yeah.
And I snapped my right Achilles at one point.
Right.
And so my hips are fucked up, and I had pinched my sciatic nerve, so my whole lower body, like, not anywhere to the extent of you, but like
Sure.
I have problems with my hips and stuff. My feet hurt all the time. I have terrible feet. Walking around hurts my feet.
Yeah.
Jumping hurts my feet. Squatting, after I get done squatting, my fucking feet hurt.
See, and now I think you got to get to the point where, what are you doing now to mitigate that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your foot hurts. Are you know, roll it on a lacrosse ball a little bit, work on some mobility, maybe talk to a professional and see what you can do to mitigate some of this pain. Yeah. You know,
I mean, I just trained through it
how
'cause-
can you rehab? But you know, that's training through. It's not always the best option.
Yeah.
You know, you have to rely on sometimes someone smarter than you who can help you. Because right now you are 22.
Yeah.
I'm 32. Do you want more? You want 10 more years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do? You can't. You really. That's the thing with this leg. I've rehabbed it, but it got to a point where you get comfortable. You go, oh, my leg's fine.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
And that's when
You know.
you start, because once you get to that point where you've rehabbed it and now it's good, you're not going to know it's not good until it's really not good.
Yeah.
You
You know,
what I
and
mean?
then it just cascades and snowballs into something so much bigger. And I think that you guys seen me, I had to take a year off of barbell movements because of my hip and my low back. And that was because I got comfortable. You know, I was training, I said, my hip's fine.
You weren't
I feel
stretching.
good.
You
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah. You
rolling
get
out.
really comfortable. And, you know, and there's preventative maintenance that goes into this stuff to maintain longevity that I neglected, you know, and then I had to really back off. You know, I didn't touch a barbell for over a year. I mean, I did barbell bench press, but I couldn't do back squat, bent over barbell row, deadlift, rack pull. I mean, there was none of that stuff.
Yeah.
So like even like through last year's prep, I was so limited.
And I think that's the big part of the what you were saying. It's a longevity game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people fail to see that this is like, you're only 22, you're 23. Like, you have another 60 years maybe on this earth. If you're gonna do all this shit and fuck yourself up in the next
Folks
5
are living
years,
till 100.
Yeah. If you're gonna do all this shit, fuck yourself up in the next 5 years, then you got 60 plus years of being fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like, take that extra 10 minutes to stretch. It's going to make a massive difference.
And if we're talking about health, I understand that what I'm doing is not the healthiest thing for my hip and my leg.
No, putting all
I
that
know
muscle
that.
on is not good.
Competing isn't necessarily healthy. Trying to be the best is something you're always pushing the envelope and you're always running a risk. But is it worth it to you? Like without this, I would have such a void.
Yeah.
Without having the competitive nature and without having something to pursue, man, there's just that void in my stomach.
Well,
I couldn't do it.
What's the point of being on this earth if you're not pursuing something? If you're just getting comfortable and you're just going day to day, like just getting through paycheck to paycheck, like what the fuck? What's the point?
You're just silently suffering. And some people, there's a lot of people like my brother. He rode BMX for a long time with me. And I think as I kind of fizzled out, he fizzled out, but he had a family. Yeah. You know, and we started businesses together. So now he's got his kids and he's got his family and he's got his businesses. And I think he feels fulfilled. Yeah. You know, and that currently, you know, is enough for him. He's got a supermoto that he takes out riding, you know, on the weekends sometimes. And like, that's enough for him. I think he's fulfilled. You know, I don't have a family. And I think even with a family, some people are just different. I think I yearn for something more and I need it, you know?
And it's totally fine. It's finding what's going to fulfill you. And, you know, bodybuilding right now is part of what fulfills you. And that idea of getting the pro card and competing and maybe one day stepping on the Olympia stage, that is something that, you know, gets you through and gives you motivation to get hard or to go harder the next day. You know what I mean?
And I think it's one of those things, if you actually look objectively and you think, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And you don't go for it. Yeah. Man,
then
that's a shame.
The what if?
Yeah, that's a shame. You know, and I think that type of stuff eats people up. You know, so
trust me, I know. I think I could be a really strong guy. Like I truly believe. I really do. I really think.
Jeremy, you are a really strong guy.
You are a really strong guy.
You're a guy who suffers from inconsistency.
Yeah.
You're a guy who
laziness.
You are a lazy fucker. I love you, but you are. But you're also somebody that you've got a lot going on in your life, man. You got a child, you know, you and your girl, you're raising a kid, you know, you have a family and it's a juggling act, man. But trust me, you know, I have multiple businesses and you know, and I have a lot going on and it is a juggling act for me. It's a juggling act for James. It is for everybody, but it's about how much it means to you. Exactly. Can you hone in and delegate one fucking hour of your day to this stuff?
Well, you know what? And that's kind of what it's boiled down to, and that's what's gotten me to where I'm at right now with reaching out to you for coaching and everything. Because when Kingston was born, I was like, wow.
By the way, I don't do coaching. I wrote a diet for Jeremy because I want to help. I want to help him out. Yeah. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm in that place. I have some knowledge. I've accumulated some knowledge, and I think I can bring value to people. But I'm not really in that place right now. But Jeremy, I am helping him out currently.
Yes,
just to make that clear.
Yeah. So everyone knows he's helping me.
So don't bug Justin about coaching.
Please don't bug.
I do get a lot of inquiries, and I think that I would. But I would love to eventually help people, but right now I've got a lot going on.
It's a lot of bandwidth, dude. You got to manage.
You're honing your craft still and everything. Mm-hmm. But anyway, and that's kind of like what brings me to the point I am, because I had a kid and when I had my son, I was like, wow, like a huge empty part of me is full. You know what I mean? Like that, like that, like unconditional, that love that I feel like I always miss down. Like I have that, like through my son, and it's a crazy feeling. So I was like, for a point in time, I was kind of like, the gym became a lot less important, because before Kingston, the gym was the only thing that made me feel better and like helped me emotionally and helped me get through problems and helped me with everything, right? That was like, my kid was the gym. Yeah. And then I had Kingston. I was like, fuck, now I got two kids, right? Yeah. Because now I have like my internal kid that needs to be happy, and that gym is the only thing that does that. And then I have like my then I have my son that makes adult Jay happy. And so now it's like juggling these two, but I realized as months have gone on, my son's almost one. Fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. Couple months, like 3 months.
Yeah, that's wild.
3 months, my son will be one. Mm-hmm. And so 2 months, excuse me, or 4 months. So 4 months, my son will be one. And throughout this whole time, I've done a lot of like, not really soul searching, but more so just like, what makes me fucking happy?
Sure.
And I realized I can never not go to the gym.
Well, I think the biggest part of that is what value do you bring to your household if you're unhappy?
Exactly.
If you do have a void in your life, that carries over in your household, man.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
And I don't and not wear it on my. I wear that shit on my face.
I know you do. You're an emotional guy, man. Yeah. I know you, but it's about setting an example for your child, you know. And I think that ultimately, a happier you is a better dad.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
You know, and a better partner to Kaya. You know,
I think a better father, a better partner, a better provider.
And you know, you feel better at work. Yep. You know, there's an immense amount of carryover from this stuff. You know, and if anybody is struggling with anger issues or depression, man, there's so much to be said for that hour in the gym.
Oh yeah, trust me, guys.
It's the cheapest therapy you can get right there.
It is, yeah, and just, you know, being able to go and harness all that energy into bodybuilding or powerlifting, whatever, you know, into the gym, into working out. Some guys come in and they jump rope for 30 minutes, and guys, Trust me.
Or they swim, or they do
Right.
That physical activity, just in general, is amazing.
Releasing those endorphins and just getting
Obviously, there's a lot of literature and science that supports this, but doing it myself, if you just feel like, I know you, Jay, you're just you're a very emotional guy. You get worked up. You go train legs. You go bust your ass in the gym. You have a real leg day. You're gonna come home and want to punch the wall. No, it's just not in you.
The little shit doesn't bug you as much. Like I have to clean, or I have to do dishes, or like.
And a lot of it too is just maturity, because as mature as I like to think and believe that I am, realistically I still am only 22, which means I still do have these childish outbursts of rage, right? That I just, due to maturity, just am not unable to control properly. So
you'll reflect back. You'll be our age. And you'll reflect back on you at this age, and you'll realize you were a kid.
Absolutely,
you are a kid, But I think you are mature, and I think you have one thing that I always appreciate about you is you're really introspective, and that you've always been able to look at yourself and your actions, and you do a good job of owning it.
I try to, not always. Accountability is
not always in the moment, but looking back, you'll be like, oh yeah, that was
which is big, man. Not a lot of people have that. And trust me, life is so much easier. When you fuck up, own it. Oh, absolutely. It's so much easier. When you say something wrong, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You can move on, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? In an argument, trust me, everybody does it. Everybody fucks up and says something they didn't mean to say. But being able to own it immediately in that moment and diffuse a situation and keep it from escalating into something larger. And that's hard to do, because it's not easy. On your ego.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah. And but I think that's the biggest thing that even business has taught me a lot. Pick your battles, man. Like a lot of times I want to talk to my employees and say something. I go,
what is this going to serve the greater good down the road?
No, because what it's going to do is it's going to affect morale for the day. It's going to put some additional stress on my manager, and let's just.
Well, and like the way I look at it is like you only have a certain amount of energy throughout the day, man. Like, choose where you want to focus that energy.
Again, it boils down to bandwidth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, like, I notice a significant decrease in energy levels, motivation, and drive, all when I, focus them into negative things. Like, I'm an easy sparked guy. I'm an easily sparked dude, right?
You're a hothead, Jeremy.
I'm a hothead, man, and I hate that I am, but I am. You spill coffee and it's an accident, I'm pissed. I'm fucking furious about it because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
How did that happen? You know what I mean? Because I don't do that stuff.
But a lot of people don't know that when you spill the coffee, they get pissed. A lot of hotheads, you tell them, if I spilled my coffee right now, you'd be pissed. They'd be like, no, I wouldn't. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that, don't understand that about themselves. And I'm glad you're able to see that. Yeah. But again, what are you going to do about it, man?
Exactly. And
how do you move forward? How do you mature? Because you can't have that stuff around your household and around your child.
As I currently dive more into this professional career that I have, where I have to, uphold this image of just like a sales consultant, right? Like, I have to be a professional person,
right?
For 10 to 12 hours a day, I have to represent the company I work for. I'm the face.
Yeah.
Right. For 4 hours of my time with whoever I'm with, I am the face of that company. If I'm unprofessional, I'm cussing, I'm acting like a fool, I get angry because the person test driving sucks at driving, whatever it is. They now think that the company I work for sucks.
I will say, someone who's employed you, you're fantastic with the public, man.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? I've never seen you be unprofessional.
I try not to, because it's unprofessional.
It's unprofessional. It's not a good look. but no, I mean, I think you do a good job, and I think it's just maintaining that. And
But yeah, I've been getting a lot better with just diverting energy elsewhere, because
Well, I think
I don't like the way it makes me feel when I get upset about little things, because then I get tired. And then you know what happens when I get tired? I want to go to sleep because
you don't want to fucking deal with this.
Sleep
shit.
sucks.
There's that little switch. There's that little switch in me that instantly brings me back down. So as soon as that switch comes on, it happens as soon as I get upset about something. As soon as that switch flips, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. I'm done with the day.
You don't want to deal with it anymore.
I don't want to deal with anything at all. I don't want to deal with life for the rest of the day. And so it's easier for me to.
And we all know what it's like when your partner shuts down.
Oh, exactly.
When you. It sets up that barrier that you can't break down. It's hard. Very, very difficult. How do you move forward and progress in a situation when the other half is not engaging?
So I've been doing.
So what I'm saying is, you need to be more consistent training legs, man. Quit skipping leg day.
All in all, if you're an angry fuck like me, listen, go train legs, man. Just slap the quads, go hit some.
Even
leg
if you
extensions.
don't like training legs, like there's nothing like the feeling of exhaustion after you hit a heavy leg session.
you know what?
Just can barely walk.
If you don't like training legs, and you're honest with yourself and you say, I don't like training legs.
Yeah.
Train legs with somebody who likes training legs and let them destroy you. So you understand it. Because I'm telling you, you won't take yourself to that place. Yeah. I see it, There's guys like, I love Preston, but he clearly doesn't really like training legs and he doesn't put himself in that place. He needs to train legs with James and let him just fucking bury him. And maybe I'm,
no, but it's
judging off what I see on Instagram. Maybe it's possible he does put in some really hard leg days.
But it's a type of mindset going into it too, and especially if you don't like training legs, do them on like a Monday. Get them over early in the week, so you don't have to worry about that shit.
I do legs on Monday, but that's just because that's what time I do legs.
I personally put my leg day right before my rest day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. That's
I get to beat
one.
the shit out of myself, and I get the next day off.
Yeah.
That's how I have it programmed right now.
It's a good way
and honestly, I did train legs on a Monday and started off my split with legs for actually years, but I prioritize my back because I feel like my back's my weak point. So I start my week with my back.
Yeah.
And then I hit legs and I get to take the next day off.
But you also don't hate training legs.
No, I love it. I enjoy training legs.
You can get away with doing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say for the general population that maybe doesn't necessarily enjoy training legs, get it over with early.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people just don't like it because you know what, training legs sucks. I think you have to find comfort in the suffering to really like it. You have to be kind of a sick fucker to put yourself in that place where you enjoy training legs. Because it blows, man. A hard leg day is really tough. You feel sick. You don't want to eat. Half the time I throw up. I throw up frequently on my leg days. It happens, not frequently, but that's the day that I get to that threshold.
If you're gonna throw up, that's the day you're gonna throw up.
Yeah, and it's not at all uncommon.
Well, you don't even necessarily, especially most people, you don't even necessarily really get a pump either. Like you might, but you're not gonna.
That's what I'm saying. Like
you're not gonna see the pump. Though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
like
it's
getting
not
no fucking curls.
It's not cosmetic and pretty, and you don't get to pump up your arms and flex and
yeah, and you're just covered in sweat and you're not looking good for the girl over on the Smith machine. Like
definitely, man.
So
yeah, it's not a pretty thing. And Preston, I wasn't trying to throw shade. If you want to come smash a leg, if you want to come smash a leg day, let's do it, man.
But yeah, it's just a difference. I know a lot of people that don't necessarily train legs, or it's up to you, dude. If you don't want to train legs, that's fine. Like I'm not.
Well, some people, there's physique dudes that don't need to train legs that just don't really train legs.
Yeah,
and that's actually what Preston does. Preston did physique.
You're not showing your legs.
You're wearing board shorts. It doesn't really matter. Me, I have to.
It shows
legs.
if you don't train legs.
I'm sitting up in a damn thong in front of everybody. I better have some nice wheels.
I would say that honestly, especially at like the local show, like the Oregon shows, that's where you set yourself apart. The legs, because most people don't have super developed legs. It takes a while to get super developed legs.
Definitely.
And it's a different type of dieting that requires you to get lean to get to be able to see the cuts in the legs. Like a lot of people can get a bicep vein, but not a lot of people can get, quad separation.
Yeah. But trust me, even at 245 when I had dropped 50 pounds, still no definition of my legs.
Well, you had another 20 pounds ago.
Exactly.
That
was after, but we're talking like I had veins in my biceps, I had veins in my forearms, I had veins going through my chest and shoulders. Fat legs, fat white legs.
And you train legs, but I think it boils down to how you train legs. You do a lot of heavy squatting. You don't do a lot of volume work. And I think quads are one of those things. I'm not a big volume guy, but I think the quads respond very well to volume. I pretty rarely do I get on the leg press and do less than 20 reps.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's a
legs are just you wear that day like a badge of honor, man. I feel like I don't deserve the rest of the week if I didn't crush my legs.
Yeah.
I like that.
It is what separates, especially in the bodybuilding but I would say just in overall fitness.
Yeah.
That's what separates like good physiques from great physiques. Like you see a guy and you're like, oh man, that guy looks great. But then you see another guy that like trains leg hard and maybe they're equal upper body and you're like, oh, that guy looks way better.
Yeah.
Because it is a difference.
I think Dusty Hanshaw said it on a podcast. He said, you see a guy in a tank top with huge arms and pants on, you go, man, I wonder if his legs are big.
Yeah.
You see a guy wearing short shorts and a long sleeve shirt, and he's got huge legs. You go, his arms are fucking huge.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
That's true.
Because I mean, if you know how to take yourself to that place to build great fucking legs, then you're good.
Chances are you know how to do a curl.
Yeah.
You know how to do a curl or two.
Chances are you can beat on their arms a little bit and make them grow. Yeah. You know, obviously that's genetics. There's some people with great legs that have shitty arms just because, you know, genetically they're not, you know, high insertions on their biceps and, you know, things like that. So there's some things that you can't do about it. But
what do you think has been the biggest, because obviously when you broke your leg, that set you back dramatically with atrophy and whatnot. What do you think has been the biggest thing in bringing your legs back up to where they're, you know, symmetrical and maybe as big as they are? Like, because they're you got big legs. You say that your upper body overpowers your lower body, but you do have big fucking legs.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if that's even true anymore. I think that I feel like
I would say your legs are pretty on point.
Yeah. You know, I started dating a powerlifter, and Jasmine did a lot of squatting.
And Jasmine was strong as
Jasmine was very strong.
She still is strong, but she was definitely way strong when she was powerlifting.
And so when I started dating her, we were doing a lot of squats, and that was like my focal point was getting under a barbell. And you know, she could squat more than me, man.
Yeah.
This girl could squat 315 and I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that was where my head was at for a long time, was just building a good foundation underneath the barbell. And I think that played a huge role in building up my legs.
Like those compound movements.
Yeah. Deadlifts and honestly, I had to pull back away from some of that stuff when because I kind of injured my back. But that was definitely the foundation. And that's not to say you can't build legs elsewhere. You know, I spent a lot of time on the leg press, hack squats,
especially.
You know, leg extensions are a good movement, but it's not something that's going to put a lot of mass on your legs. You know,
that's where you like chisel away, maybe.
Yeah, or just some metabolic work, just a lot of pump, a lot of pump, a lot of volume, a lot of blood flow. But yeah, I think that getting underneath the barbell is huge.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. I think especially with like the revolution of like these Planet Fitnesses and like these Anytime Fitnesses, it's very hard to find like a squat rack or a deadlift platform at at a lot of these gyms, right? Especially like I remember Club Northwest, they used to only have one power rack, right? That whole big facility, they only had one fucking power rack. And so you didn't see a lot of guys doing compound movement. You'd see people bench pressing, but you wouldn't see a lot of deadlifts.
Yeah, and again,
or
that boils down to exposure. You know, like if you're not seeing this, if you're not surrounded and not immersed in it, then you don't really know.
Yeah.
And if you're not following the right people on Instagram, you know, or on any social media platform, you just don't have the exposure.
Yeah.
You know, when I was training at Anytime Fitness, they only had Smith machines.
Right.
So I was like trying to bench press, and I learned how to bench press in a Smith machine.
Granted, their Smith was cool because it was the full.
Yeah, it was like the
cage.
Star Trek one that moved back and forth. It was cool, but it had hooks every 3 inches. So it just, I mean, that was a weird thing to try to like learn how to squat in. So when I went to the YMCA, I remember I could, I was benching 225 for sets of 10 on the Smith. Like, this is easy. I'm good. Yeah. I went to a real barbell and I was very humbled.
Yeah, you got crushed under that because
I was like, what the fuck? This is not the same thing at all.
The stability comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
It's weird.
There's a kid who used to bench like 375 on the Smith at Planet, and he came to Duo. And he benched, and he was telling me about his bench, and he went to go bench, and he hit 275 for a single, and it was like he almost didn't get it. And he was like, "Wow, that is crazy." The difference.
And obviously, there's counterweights that help, that aid in the Smith machine.
Yep.
But more than anything, you just don't have to focus on stability.
Yep.
You
can push with everything, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can just drive.
Go straight.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's a little bit lighter. It like. So the guides make the bar's lighter obviously, but like just the fact that it's a fixed bar makes it feel lighter.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Take that bar to the top and just drop it.
Yeah.
There's counterweights in there. They're slow.
It's not going to drop.
Which is going to help it go back up. There are some Smith machines. I think Arsenal Strength has a Smith machine that is a 45-pound bar with no counterweights, and it's that thing's legit.
Yeah.
I would love to have a Smith machine like that. I mean, some movements I don't mind. I like, like a split squat in the Smith machine. I don't need it to be a 45-pound bar. I need it to feel heavy. No.
It's the range of motion, and sometimes honestly, split squats in the Smith machine are a great movement because a lot of people lack the balance to do it with a barbell or even dumbbells, or they lack the strength to get the range of motion. So the Smith machine actually helps with that. So I used to be part of the crew that would hate on the Smith machine all the time, just because I always worked in a gym that never had a Smith machine. So it was always like, oh, you're squatting the Smith machine. What the fuck are you doing? Like, but there's a lot of value to it. Like that JP guy, he squats on the Smith machine. He's a fucking monster.
Yeah. Yeah, he's squatting 7+ plates in the Smith.
Yeah.
But if honestly, squatting the Smith machine is fucking hard.
Yeah, it's a difficult movement
because you can't, like, when I do a barbell squat, I tend to load my hips and load my back a little bit, and I'm more efficient, which is in bodybuilding. I don't want to be efficient. I want that load to be directed on my quads. Yeah. I don't need to disperse it to other places to be more efficient and move more weight. It's not what I want. So when I go squat in the Smith machine, I'm just standing up with all quads. I cannot load my back. I can't load my hips, and it's harder, man.
It's almost like a version of a hack squat kind of. It's a similar squat to like a hack squat kind of.
Right.
You're not splitting your center of gravity with the bar really. You're leaning into it almost.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of value in the compound movements, and I think there's a lot of, not so much anymore, but there was a lot of hate towards like the powerlifting community and like, oh, powerlifters are fat and they don't know what they're doing. But powerlifters know how to put on quite a bit of muscle and dense muscle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think that boils down to load, man.
Yeah, the load and the movement. They're recruiting large muscle groups. Yeah, stabilizing muscles. Like, yeah, there's a reason that those guys are jacked. They may not be lean, and they may not have perfect symmetry, but there's some jacked motherfuckers.
For the most part, how would it benefit these guys to be lean? Unless you're trying to make it into a weight class to be more competitive. We were talking about Greg. Greg's trying to diet down. He wants to get in shape, but really for his game, he's got to meet here in 3 weeks. You dieting down, you're going to make your weight class. Don't worry about how you're looking in the mirror right now.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of dieting down to make a weight class. I feel like you're losing all the benefit of. You'll be more competitive, but like, what's the point of cutting 25 pounds to get to a weight class and then trying to feed up and like grow back up?
Exactly.
And it can be a huge detriment, especially if you don't do it right.
It's difficult to do.
I understand when you're, on a more competitive. I cut down to make it into the light heavyweights this year. Yeah, that was a huge detriment.
It ended up hurting you. It
ended up hurting me, because it was just really hard to recover from after an hour in the sauna. And this is just getting up to go flex my muscles, man.
Yeah. Well, it's a stress response. You're putting your body under a dramatic amount of stress to get there, and then you're expecting it to be optimal.
Yeah. I'll say my headspace when I just went into the heavyweights and I didn't try to cut weight, I just felt so much better mentally.
Yeah. All the meets that I've done really well at, I've not really cut weight. Right? Maybe I cut a couple pounds of water the night before or something, but I've never cut a dramatic amount of weight to make it. And I feel like that's kind of how you should. If you're training at that weight, you should stay at that weight. Compete at that weight. Yeah. Worst case, you go up to a heavier weight class or you go to heavy weights, but you know what? You might end up doing better.
Yeah, I mean, some guys have to make weight for classic.
Yeah.
Things like that where, that's... It can hold people back.
But even that,
my
that's
thought
more
is
of like
if
a water
you're,
cut.
Yeah,
most
exactly.
Most of the guys.
Yeah, but some people are peeling down and losing muscle coming into their show.
What was it? Flex Lewis. Like, he used to cut muscle to make fucking 212.
I mean, that's a guy that's been suffering and not improving in his off seasons for 5 years because he had to make 212. I'm really excited to see what that guy brings to the stage.
That's gonna be wild,
the open
dude.
Stage. His first off season where he doesn't have to
stress, because that's a mental.
It is
fucking load.
But also it was one of those things. I remember hearing a story. He was, had to. They went out to like a steak dinner, and he had to get like the 6-ounce steak because he's like, if I eat anymore, I'm gonna get too big. I'll grow too much. Yeah. So he's like, that's a wild place to be in.
It is. It's and I had that kind of same thing where, like the November, December area, I was like getting up. I was blowing up. I was like 270 almost. And I was like, if I keep going and eating the way I am, I'm going to be like 280, before I know it. But maybe that wasn't a bad idea though. Maybe I should have just kept it going. But because sometimes you do get in your way. You're like, oh, aesthetically, I'm not where I, or maybe I think, oh, I want to be able to cut to this weight class. and you end up getting in your own way because your body wants to find that area where, you know, it is happy and it's optimal. And
definitely,
if you're gaining weight and you're training consistently, kind of sometimes you need to just let it happen. Like in the off season, like you got up to, how heavy did you get in your off season?
I got up in the 240s.
Yeah,
you know, and that's fasted in the morning. Yeah,
massive amount of weight for your height.
For my height, yeah. Yep.
So
I'm just over 5'8". Yeah.
So if you were like, oh, dude, I don't want to get over 225 because I don't want to worry about cutting all this weight when I compete next year.
Yeah,
like you're getting in your own way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, well, I mean, there's two sides of it. A lot of people take it too far. I mean, how hard do you want your diet to be?
Oh, that's true. Like,
you know what I mean?
Kavensky Fitness, he went over 300 pounds and then he cut down to 230.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I got to a point, and obviously, I work with Alex, and he's a good coach, and he's kept me, you know, dialed back to where we didn't push the weight too far. But honestly, if I wanted to push the weight higher than where I'm at right now, I'd have to do something drastic, and I don't think it'd benefit me because I know I'm in a surplus and I'm gaining lean tissue in a surplus. I don't need to be in that drastic of a surplus.
Well, there is a point of diminishing returns, obviously, when you get that, because at a certain point you're putting on more fat than you are muscle.
Your stomach gets distended, and you know, and you can, yeah, it's
health wise,
yeah, healthy for sure, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a wild.
There is definitely a threshold.
It's just being honest with yourself,
right? Yeah, and that's like with Steve. I talked to him, and he's one of those guys that he wants to just push it so hard. Right. He would love to. He talks about macros. He's talking about eating the same amount of macros I'm eating. I'm like, man, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, if you see some chub on your belly, you're in a surplus. You don't need to push it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, not seeing that scale move is tough for some of these kids, but it's gonna move slowly.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing is if you're in a surplus, you can gain muscle. Just understand this shit takes time. So don't push for 10 pounds of body fat just to see the scale go up.
Yeah. Well, Steve's a perfect example because Steve's only been training for about a year.
Yeah, right. And I think that transition from 140 pounds to 175 happened really fast.
Yeah, and he looks good.
He does.
He's not overly.
He's put on a lot of muscle. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's actually gained a lot of strength and a lot of muscle, and he's in a good place. But I think that, you know, it's expectations. You know, I think in his head he's going, dude, in another year I'll be, you know, 205 at this rate. It's just not how it goes.
No, because he's going to cut down to maybe 160. You know, maybe
even less.
Yeah, maybe even less. Who knows? Who knows how low he'll get? But
yeah, but I think that just boils down to you know, realistic expectations. I mean, I've got pretty good genetics for this stuff. It took me a while to get up and over 200 pounds.
Yeah,
you know, obviously I did it naturally. You know, I trained naturally for the last 6 years. You know, so it was it just required solely on me and my eating and my training.
Yeah. Consistency in the diet is huge. And the longevity aspect of it too is you're not going to put on that much muscle in 1 year.
No.
And just like you're not going to get to 3% body fat the first time you cut necessarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Christian Guzman's a great example of that. Like every year he bulks and then he cuts down and then he bulks and he cuts down. And every year he's cut down, he's roughly the same weight, but his conditioning is much better every single year. It's just because his body is dialing in,
understands the process.
He's understanding his body a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, especially newer guys to the sport, they don't necessarily realize that like your body will change throughout the years. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, if I don't get down to 3% body fat this year, I failed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It takes time.
Yeah, it does take time, and I think that muscle maturity is also a factor.
Oh, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, and you can be the same body weight, but your muscles are just going to look different.
Yeah,
you know,
you look better as you get older. That old man strength and old man muscle maturity. Mm-hmm. Look what you have to look forward to, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, you're a baby.
I know.
Yeah,
it's weird because I think of myself as like a 30-year-old. You know what I mean?
Well, you look like a 30-year-old.
You look washed up.
I feel washed up. Believe me. Slept for 3 hours.
Did you really sleep for 3 hours?
Yeah.
See, that's not good, dude.
Because
Call of Duty
till 2, which was unexpected. I had no idea it was 2.
Yeah.
But then Kai had to get up this morning at like 5:30 because she's doing a training for her work in Medford. So I'm watching Kingston.
Okay. I mean, you got responsibilities. Obviously, you shouldn't have been up till 2.
Yeah, and that was usually typically I'll play till about 10:30, 11, and I'll go to sleep 11:30, or I'll go to sleep 11.
Like kind of the kid went to sleep and you had the living room to
Yeah,
yourself.
and then she got a call, so I would check on him in between matches, and then I waited for her to get back, and I didn't even realize it, but she left at 10. By the time she got back, it was 2:30. It was 2:00 in the morning, and I was like, "Whoa, I need to go to bed." I didn't even realize it was 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I slept for 3 hours, and then Kingston was awake, and so I stayed up with him.
You know, that type of thing happens as long as you don't make a habit of it, and you're.
And it's typically
I think there's a lot of people that think they can survive on that much sleep and take pride in. I sleep 5 hours a night. And I'm
absolutely
fine.
Well, there was a whole.
It's a weird brag, man. Weird flex, but
There was that was a whole like movement. It was like team no sleep. It's like, oh, you sleep 6 hours a night. Like you're losing 2 hours of productivity. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think there was that sleep study specialist on that Joe Rogan podcast where he talked about it's you're operating. It's like low level brain damage. Like this actually has effects on your brain.
Yeah,
and it's true. I mean, when I don't get enough sleep, you feel that stuff, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's amazing what it does to your mood.
Yeah,
just overall, like throughout the day. Like you're a dick if I get 3 hours of sleep, I'm a fucking asshole.
I typically get 6 to 7 hours of sleep every single day.
And some even would say that's not enough.
I know, but I actually feel great getting a 6 to 7 hours. Like I wake up, I'm ready to go. My workouts feel fine. Like,
I'm sure you'd feel better if you got 8.
I'm sure I would.
But 7 hours of sleep. There's nothing wrong with 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, But let's see. What would I have to do? I'd have to go to bed. I think at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30.
It's tough math.
I'd have to listen. I'm not the smartest.
It just requires discipline, man. And
can't believe
I'd have to go.
time management.
I would have to go to sleep at 9:30.
And I'm not the best at it. I usually work, all day, and I train at 6:30. Then, you get home at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Then you're showering, then you're eating dinner, and then it's usually my time to unwind. And
you want to
it's midnight.
Yeah.
Like for me, I get home at 7, hang out eat dinner with like Kingston, Kaya a little bit, and then they go to sleep about 8:30, and then I've only been home for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I want to play a little bit of Xbox, or maybe I'll hang out a little bit, or maybe I'll shave or shower or do something like that. And then it's 9:30, and I'm like, oh, there's my 8-hour mark I just missed.
Yeah, and and you see what happened last night. We get in the gym, we just all start bullshitting, and that's also my time to be at my business, my place of business. So I don't always have the ability to just put my hood on, headphones in, and just not talk to anybody. I have to be engaging on the floor, and I want to. You
want people to feel comfortable.
Yeah, these people are paying me to use my establishment, and I want them to know that I value that, and that I value them as members. And so sometimes my training gets a little bit, postponed. It takes a little bit longer than it should, but I have to as a business owner, and I really don't mind. And there are those days that honestly, we have an evening crew. We have that 6:30 at 6 o'clock, 6:30 crew. They understand what I'm about. Yeah. So for the most part, if I'm laser focused in on my workout, I get left alone. Yeah. But I always take the time. If I see a new member, I like to walk up and say hello. I like to shake somebody's hand. I like to help somebody if they need help. It can be an intimidating environment when the music's loud and there's a lot of noise and
weights are slamming.
And there's a lot of weight being thrown around. But the second you reach out and shake somebody's hand and ask them how they're doing, it takes all that intimidation away.
Absolutely.
Especially when you see somebody struggling and you just offer a little bit of guidance. Yeah. It really
goes a long
makes
way.
A huge difference. Yeah. And I see the change in people's demeanors,
Yeah.
Well, shaking someone's hand or knuckle bumping someone is closing that space between person to person, and it makes a relationship between two people a lot more personal once you have contact with them, whether it be shaking a hand or knuckle bumping. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It really does do something.
Yeah.
You're now invading their personal space,
Right.
which kind of binds you, almost instantly binds someone. So someone who doesn't shake a hand is always a weirdo.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's because or someone who doesn't knuckle bump. I'm always like,
I'm a fist bumper because honestly, shaking hands in the gym is
coronavirus,
is
bro.
a lot of fun.
Well, it's kind of weird to shake some random dude's hand. Hey, nice to meet you.
I mean, I do shake hands a lot because I think it's in a business setting, it's
it's a level. Of
I do
professionalism.
it at my job.
Yeah.
I don't
So you're not fist bumping customers like, hey,
what's up, dog?
Nice job on the car.
Salt, dude.
Saw, dude. I think that would be cool. That's a cool topic actually to touch on, is the aspect of the time management, because you own two businesses, right? You own the cannabis business, you own your gym, and then on top of that, you're managing your training as well as your relationship, right?
Yeah.
So how is that like how do you manage all that time into a day? Because like bandwidth is huge, right?
Yeah. And I think it boils down to appropriate delegation. I've got good people on my team. I own a cannabis business. I own a dispensary, and then I also have a tier 2 recreational cannabis farm as well. So I have an integrated a vertically integrated cannabis business, and it is a lot. There's a lot of responsibility that falls on me as a business owner, but luckily I have good people. I have my manager at my store. He kills it. I've got a good crew of people there that I trust and that I can rely on. And a lot of that is taking your ego out of it, man. Because starting this business, it was one of those things you go, nobody's going to do it the way I do it. So I need to be there for the purchasing. I need to be the guy running the Instagram. I need to be the dude. When my brother and I first started growing, it was like, it's tough because you got to train these people, and at a certain point you just got to let go.
Yeah.
It's not, that doesn't mean you have to be present and that you don't have to, continue to be involved in the process. But at a certain point, you really do have to, if you want to expand and you want to be able to run these businesses successfully and maintain a life, you really do have to delegate appropriately, man.
It's like a fine line of like too much hands-on and then not hands-on enough.
Definitely. Yeah. So I mean that's been my biggest, learning curve, I think, is just being able to kind of, let go and see how these things do. And really it got to a point where I was doing like the purchasing at my store, and I was, the one that was involved in like the metric, which is like the state of Oregon's cannabis tracking system, and I had to teach that to my manager,
right.
And then, you want to be so hands-on and you want to be involved, but now I've kind of delegated and I've let it run its course to where now this young man's teaching me things about it,
That's awesome. Cause you put a level of trust into him, and then he grew into the role.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be present, because you do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do have to be present, and it's just time management, and it's not easy.
No.
It's not.
Yeah, it's that's a huge thing is what I've seen over the years is making sure that you're working with people that you can trust and that are that are as motivated as you are, or like at least close to as motivated as you are.
I don't think anybody's going to be as motivated
nobody's not gonna
as
care
you
about
are,
it.
but I think that, again, that boils down to ego. No, they don't love it as much as you.
They will never love it as much as you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something people have to realize is like, it's your business,
Yes.
right? Nobody's
Yeah.
going to care about it as much as you are.
If
But
they did,
they
would've
can
started
they can
one.
buy into your business though, and believe in the business and want to see the business
Yeah, I mean,
succeed.
luckily I do have people that I know are very loyal to me. My cousin is my farm manager, and you just can't buy that type of loyalty. You really can't. And working with family can be hard, but there's so much value in it, man. Because I know this young man has my best interest in mind. He's never gonna do me wrong. We're in a really good place. It's a healthy relationship, and I feel really blessed to have him. Absolutely.
And then you got Jasmine with you at the gym. And it's
and honestly, I couldn't have done that without her.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have done that without her. When we first started the gym, I have these two businesses, and this is my money maker. This is my thing. It really
sustains everything.
It really consumes me. So when we did this and we went on this venture together, I mean, it was kind of with the understanding that, I can't really be present during the day-to-day activities or the day-to-day, things in the gym. It's going to be very hard. And that is, again, bandwidth. I don't really have the bandwidth for it. And she's been fantastic, man. I think she does a really good job of running that place, and she's the authority figure. She's the boss over there. I think everyone knows that.
I worked there 2 years. Trust me.
Yeah.
Jasmine's the boss.
She is an intimidating individual sometimes. I still remember when that one dude was throwing the weight around and on the machine, and Jasmine went over there or you had mentioned to him like, hey,
dude, I asked this dude like 3 times to stop rocking and rolling in the equipment like that, and I try to approach things diplomatically, and I try to,
you want to be cool with him. And,
hey, buddy, I kind of worry about my equipment, and yeah, Jasmine came up and just scolded the guy. She did it professionally. She really did.
She was nice about it, but
she's
she
intense.
did it in a staring into his soul kind of way.
Yeah, but it was very professional, clear, concise message. Hey, you can't use my equipment like that. Thank you. And walked away.
And walked away.
He looked like he'd seen a ghost.
She had the pump too. Her shoulders were popping. He left for good.
That guy was, you end up with those members. We've seen it at every gym. Mm-hmm. That guy was a detriment to my business, man. Yeah. He really was. That dude is going to break something.
Well, it's an ego thing too.
It was an ego thing. Everything that guy did was ego derived.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too. Is like, yeah, you want as many members as possible, but you also you don't want to throw off the ecosystem.
Yeah. And I think we draw a good crowd, and I think we create a really good environment. And you're right, there's always can be that one oddball, whether it's the stinky guy in the corner, or the guy slamming his weights on the ground. I mean, you really have to do everything you can to kind of mitigate that, because it does throw off the ecosystem, man. It can turn someone's first visit to that gym into a bad one, where you're like, man, I went there and there was a stinky dude and assholes are dropping their weights, and I don't know if that place is for me.
And that's one of the coolest things about Duo is like Duo. We have such an amazing crowd of people that are there that everyone kind of looks out for each other in a sense. You know what I mean? Like you have your cliques, but for the most part, all the members there look out for each other because they're all part of the same crowd. Yeah, or they're OG members. So when there's like a newcomer, everyone's like, okay, let's make sure this person feels welcome. Or if this dude sucks, then people.
I think the shitty people tend to weed themselves out.
People will smash them out. Just kidding, but
jump them in the fucking parking lot.
No, but it is really cool.
Yeah, no, I think again we draw a really good crowd, and I kind of pride myself on having some of the best members, in a gym around here for sure. I think you kind of come in and you feel. I think feeling the presence of the owner makes people act a little bit better.
Yeah,
100%. And it's not that people are scared or intimidated, but I think you just tend to see when you don't put a face to that equipment, like the Club Northwest, a lot of people know that the owner, it's that guy that paid for that equipment, and when people are using it, you go, oh no, that's him. I like that dude. He bought that with his own money. I'm going to treat it with respect.
It's like your house almost.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they see how you train, and they see how you are as a person, and they just get that feeling like, wow, this dude cares about this place. Like he's dumped everything into this place.
Yeah, I do my best to set a good example. Nobody's perfect. We've all ego lifted, and we've all stunk once or twice at the gym, and we've all dropped our weights.
Dropped some weights.
Yeah, I mean it happens. So I try not to. You don't want to intervene just off of isolated instances, but
every day.
But that's a tough thing to navigate. What do you do when some guy is stinking up the entire gym?
Oh, that's a weird one.
Man, body odor can be offensive.
It can.
And I've given tours in my gym with a new member where they walk in and they smell something. This place smells like BO. Mm-hmm. And I have to, as the business owner, pull someone aside and say, hey, I just couldn't help but notice that you had some body odor, and I was given a tour today, and I worry that affects the morale of the business. It affects.
I've had a couple of those.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those, and that's a really difficult thing to approach, but I absolutely have to. There's a reason why I have air fresheners in the bathroom, because I don't want it smelling like shit. And I can't have my members making my gym smell like shit.
Some people be blowing that shit up too.
Some people need to drink.
I don't know
water, bro.
I don't know what it is, but there is somebody that
just drops
bombs. Bro. I think so. That 6:00 crowd.
There's a dude in there.
There's a lot of people that hold their shit on their 9 to 5, go to the gym and just unload and train.
Just nervous about shitting at work, so they're like, I'm gonna save it to the gym.
Or maybe it's just the pre-workout shit. They take your pre-workout and you're in my bathroom taking shit.
They need to get some better supplements, because that shit's eating a hole in their stomach.
I know. I was talking to Jasmine about maybe putting the men's room back there with women's is away from the gym.
No, it's fun. What do you think? Because like everyone I know that has worked out consistently, they all dream of opening up. Like everyone wants to open their own gym.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say the worst part about opening a gym is? Like, because everyone thinks it's super everyone glamorizes it, like, oh, you get to go train at your own gym and everything, but it's not as easy as everyone portrays it.
No, it really isn't. I think it's people tend to romanticize that notion, and it isn't easy. And I think my biggest thing is you better love it.
Yeah.
You know, that you better be really serious about this, and you really better care for this, because it's not something that has, you know, the ROI on the return on investment on equipment is, you don't see it. I'll spend $2,000 on a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I didn't make a penny more. You know, I bought it because I truly love this piece of equipment. I want that for my members. Like, we needed a new hack squat. I bought that hack squat. That didn't make me any more money. It just cost me money. But the value comes from
happier members.
And, you know, I get to see people using that, and it does make me happy. So you really have to just appreciate this as a culture. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying that you can't monetize this and make it a successful business, because it is. I mean, the gym, my gym makes money. It does. But I think it began with
that wasn't the initial goal, maybe.
You know, and it's not that it's never not your goal starting a business to make money. It is, but that was not my main focal point. I just wanted to create a good gym and a good space for us. And I think that gained a lot of traction, that notion. People seen it, you know, they seen that it was a passion project. They seen that it was a labor of love. They see that I love this place. They seen that you love this place. You helped me with that remodel. I mean, when we remodeled that place, that was brutal, man. You know,
that was rough, dude.
It was 3 weeks straight of us getting there at 5 a.m. and leaving at midnight. Yeah, we were not sleeping.
There were nights. Yeah, there were nights where we'd be there till like 11:30 at night, just trying to dial everything in.
Well, and you know, moving 5,000 square foot of rubber mats. You know, there was a time. Remember, at the end of it, we would go to wash our hands, and the hot water would burn our hands.
What was it? 160, 120 pound mats.
Yeah,
each mat, 160 mats, and every single one of them individually weighed 120 pounds.
And that whole gym, I mean, we've got a lot of equipment in that small space. I mean, it's a pretty good sized space. The whole building's 10,000 square feet. The gym is a little over 5, but there's a lot of equipment. And when we were painting it, we would have to move all the equipment over into this half of the gym. Yep. We would paint the ceiling in here, and then we'd move that equipment over here, and then paint the ceiling in that side, and then we'd move that equipment. Then we'd paint the cardio room, and then we'd move all the equipment into the cardio room, and then we'd move everything out of the cardio room back into the gym. It was so much hustling.
I think I lost a couple pounds actually doing that.
Man, it was hard. That was a lot of work.
The heat of the summer too, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah.
No, I think that was
when you did the major remodel. No,
that main remodel I think was like March. It was right after we bought it in January.
It's getting warm for sure.
March, April. Yeah, it's about this time 2 years ago.
We get there like 6:30 or 5:30?
We were getting there about 5:30, 6.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was hard, man. It was rough.
That done caused a breakup in my relationship. No, it didn't.
I think it actually did.
It kind of did actually.
It led to it. It wasn't the main.
It was the catalyst for her to. But you know, whatever.
That's priorities, though. Yeah. You know, priorities.
I love that. Oh,
you were working for something.
You were making money, man.
I was, which was cool, but more so, I was just so excited because I was like every day something was coming to life. Like
it was really rewarding.
The vision was being shown in little parts of the gym, and then at the end of everything, you're just like, wow, this is insane. Like everything, and you got to be like, I got to be a part of the whole process, which is something I'll always be forever thankful for, because not a lot of people get to see the behind the scenes of.
We got to decide where we were putting the squat racks, how we're
Jasmine got
putting
to decide.
Okay, yeah, she's the boss.
Jasmine picked out the spots.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
it was fun, man. We kind of got to build the layout of the gym, and that's nothing that I've ever done before. You know, obviously we have an idea of how we'd like things to flow. I think the gym flows really well. Yeah. You know,
and that's some of the most enjoyable part of opening the gym is like you get to decide where everything.
And if you don't love this shit, it's not for you, because that 3 weeks I shut down for a month, so we didn't make any money for a month. And meanwhile, I'm paying for help. Yeah. You know, like that remodel cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, you're shelling.
I'm still paying in labor. I still paid rent that month, and I still paid the electric. You know, all that stuff. So, but it was worth it.
Oh, it was a dramatic remodel. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a very dramatic.
It was a complete facelift. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's what I appreciate the most about business, is being able to put my stamp on it. You know what I mean?
Well, and when I was working for you, like I would tell people, I'm like, look, the owner and myself have put our blood, sweat, and tears into making this place. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, when I tell you I love this gym, I'm not lying. Like I love this place. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But really, the gym sells itself. So
Yeah, it does. And I think you've there's an energy in there. You can feel that stuff.
Oh,
you can feel
absolutely.
that. You can feel that hard work, and you can feel the passion.
Just look at-
we've all
just
been
look
to
at the
gyms that
people.
haven't had that passion, or like they have
just
a
no
different
soul,
vibe.
man.
Yeah, there's no
The why.
It's not like going to a 24-hour fitness or like a just
Yeah.
like a anytime
LA
fitness or
Fitness.
like that's just an environment. Like this actually is like it's like a home. Like
I get genuinely excited to walk into the doors of the gym.
It means even you guys just being my friends. It means a lot hearing that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
and that's huge. It's huge for just growth in general. Just like if you're really trying to like pursue fitness, like you can't just be working out at just like some bullshit gym where nobody cares
and
about
that's
stuff.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is like, there's a threshold where there's a gym that won't get you your goals.
Yeah, any gym can get you to a level of fitness, but then
So I don't.
To get to the
I
next
think
level.
that some people don't understand how close they are to like that shitty hotel gym that is not going to get them their results, because that's the worst. Yeah. You got a treadmill and dumbbells up to 40 pounds.
Maybe a cable machine.
Maybe.
yeah, it's good enough, but it's
And
not good
most
enough.
people could go, yeah, that's just not going to cut it.
Yeah.
But then you go to Planet Fitness, and I don't think you realize how close to that you really are, or how far away you are from the pinnacle of an appropriate environment, a conducive environment to growth. Not a lot of people have been there, and even sometimes just setting your foot in and seeing it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You have to train sometimes. And I urge people to come in and check out my gym, because you got a lot of people, they go, well, I'm going to be in here at 8. And I said, well, then you need to come back at 8.
Yeah.
Come check the gym out at 8
what the
a.m.
vibe is like.
We're open. I really come, see, and feel it at 8 a.m. if you're going to be here at 8 a.m. Because if you're here at 6:30, is much different. 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
That it's a much different environment.
Well, it's like it's the same type of thing, like buying a car without driving it. I have every single person drive a car. Why? Because
You are a salesman. Listen to you.
well, no, but think
You
about-
love this shit.
I do, but like think about it. Like why would you buy something you've never driven?
Yeah.
And I promise you, 2014 is going to drive different than 2015. It just will. It's just a year newer. It's just going to feel a little different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If it's a different trim level. So there's
Right.
there's all these factors that factor in. It's the same thing with a gym. Like why would you just come check a gym out and not?
And some people, it's their schedule. They got off work at 5 and want to come check it out. But I definitely try to urge people to come check out the gym when you're going to be training, if it's possible. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes, if it has the tools that someone needs, and they no, trust me, I would know.
Yeah.
I'd walk in and
You
say,
could
trust
tell.
me, this is my gym. I'll create my own environment in my head.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and I'm going to get to work at 8 a.m. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. But a lot of people,
Well, for the average though, because you're not
Yeah.
an average gym goer.
and you could take all my equipment and put it at the YMCA. They got that big space upstairs. You could fill that with all of our equipment. It just would not be the same
It's
gym.
not necessarily. It's
the
who you
vibe.
surround yourself with. Dude. It's
Yeah.
the same thing we talk about like with success. Like you are who you surround yourself with. It's the same thing with the gym environment. Like if you're at a gym environment and people are just fucking around, nobody cares. Like
Yeah.
nobody's really training hard. People aren't really sticking to a diet. Like nobody's changing.
Right.
You're not going to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To an extent, you will change. Maybe you'll get to a point, but it's that big fish, small pond.
Or
kind of
maybe
thing.
you won't at all.
Yeah.
Man, how many times have we seen guys in the gym that have been there for 10 years and look exactly the same?
I saw that all the time when I was working at Club Northwest. I'd
Like,
see
these
the
guys
same
make
girls
zero improvement.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with environment, and I think it has a lot to do with what we talk about, exposure. Like
Yeah,
if you
what
haven't-
you're
if you
exposed to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, our gym gets typecasted. You're like, oh, you're at the meathead gym. People will say this. You're at the scary gym. It's not a scary gym. It's a place where a lot of people are motivated, and a lot of people have goals, and a lot of people take this stuff serious. But trust me, if you want to make improvement, it's the place for you, because there's a lot of people in there making improvement. But that intimidates people.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's
that's
the
the
thing is it's scary if you're not about hard work.
Yeah.
If you're not about,
Well, if
Motivate
you're not
us.
actually serious about improvement.
Yeah.
And to improve, you're gonna have to work hard. But I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, I'm gonna wait till I get in shape to go there."
you don't have to.
And
be
like,
in
man,
shape.
what a better place to get in shape.
Oh, so
And
you're
trust
gonna
me,
go
we
to-
have a lot
yeah.
of people that aren't in shape in my gym. I've got a large elderly crowd. I've got a lot of new people. A lot of experienced people. A lot of, we really have all types, man. I just don't think people understand how much the environment can affect. Really, when the environment affects your mood, it's going to affect your workout, and it's going to carry over into your progress.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's major because even your elderly crowd is in shape. Like because I've been at like Club Northwest is a majority like elderly crowd.
Yeah,
a lot of them are just getting by. Like they're hunched over like the walkers to
Just
the fucking
moving.
machine. They're just alive. They're not necessarily fixing their body or anything.
like
But-
Lyle. I've got a member Lyle's 90.
No, he's like 95.
He comes in and he does dips and pull-ups, man.
That's wild.
We have an assisted dip and pull-up machine, but that guy beelines for and does wide grip pull-ups.
That's cool.
It's badass.
I was talking to Gary yesterday. Actually,
Pec deck too.
I was talking to Gary about that because Gary's like 60 something.
Yeah.
And he's in great shape.
Yeah,
I was
he is.
talking to him. I was like, dude, I can't wait till my generation is like in their 70s because imagine how jacked our generation is going to be like when all these fitness influencers once they get to 70, it's going to look fucking amazing.
It's just going to be a bunch of CT Fletchers out there.
Yeah. Fucking yeah.
Shout out CT, man. CT Fletcher and Elliot Hulse, only two people I used to watch when I was working out at the Y.
Yeah. Yo, Elliot.
Yo, Elliot. He looks good too because he's getting up there.
He is getting up there.
He's looking old. He's got the gray beard going on, but he still looks great. Fucking
I have no idea how old that guy is.
yeah, because he could be 60 for all we know. Like,
Or he could be 31.
yeah,
And
you never know.
I really
he's looking
don't
old.
know.
Good genetics, dude.
yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Michael Hearn still looks 20.
Dude, I see Mike sometimes though on some of his pictures where he like dyed his hair. And it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, man, like that's
He's got an image to uphold.
he's got the
man.
jet black hair. It's like, oh, dude,
Yeah.
that's dramatic.
He had the jet black hair in that episode of Workaholics.
You know what the
was in
weird thing about that
Workaholics?
Workaholics episode? It's like the only time I've ever seen Michael Hearn not really in shape.
And white.
He was pale,
Yeah.
and he wasn't in. I mean, don't get me wrong, the guy was huge.
Yeah, he's still huge.
But yeah, it was like
don't
that
think I've ever seen
bodybuilding
that one.
episode. He's oiling himself down in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wasn't in great shape.
I have to find that
Cali
episode.
Muscle was in Workaholics too,
Yeah,
No shit.
the Bible.
like the Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't remember what.
That's Jay's
what it was.
boy.
They turn it into like the
Cali Muscle.
Cali Muscle thinks I look like Furious Pete.
Yeah,
Furious Pete.
You remind me of my friend Furious Pete. You know Furious? That's exactly what he said to me.
you said
You've
that
been
once.
telling that story for the last
You
decade.
said that in the podcast, and my brother just grabbed it and ran with it. You know how many times I hear an imitation of you saying Furious Pete at work?
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
If his feet hurt, he'll say, "Man, I got some furious feet." Seriously,
That's funny.
Yeah, he takes it and he ran with it. Yeah, so you saying that is actually pretty funny, man.
That's Cali Muscle.
We need you.
Yep.
We need you to talk to Cali Muscle again, so that we can have more stories. Because instead of hearing about you look like my friend Furious Pete.
Yeah, the first time I met him, he said I was a big corn-fed motherfucker, and told him I'm from Oregon. He's like, "Oh, you an Oregon boy?" I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, that interaction meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cali's a great guy, man. Both times I met him.
Love that dude.
Yeah, both times I met him. Awesome times.
Oh man.
Well, how long we been here, guys?
We've been going for a while, dude. It's about 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Got a text message 47 minutes ago, and Jasmine decided not to go to the gym and just practice double unders at home.
Oh.
Nice.
Does that mean you're not going to the gym now?
Nope.
Nope.
It's my deload week. I already plan on not going to the gym. Today would be
Arms.
and calves.
Yeah. It's a solid day right there.
And my arms have been just trashed, man. So I'm just giving these things some rest. I actually followed through with my deload week, James.
Yeah, I didn't follow through with it.
Yeah,
and
I
I
know you
regretted it.
Yeah.
But, it's...
I remember you were telling me on Wednesday, you're like, nah, I'm going to just do a deload half week.
Yeah. No, because normally it's tough. It's the load management thing. It's an ego thing. It's at the end of the day, it's an ego thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I could take the full week off, but like I don't want to take the full week off.
Oh, I didn't want to take the full
know
week
what I
off.
mean?
I felt I was really bored this week.
Oh,
I was
100%.
really bored.
It's amazing
But I
how much free
understand
time
the value in it, man. I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you training? Are you training after this?
No. Where were you, dude? I just
He literally just said that.
Oh, I wasn't even fucking listening.
No, clearly. No, I think it's amazing what we were talking about. Like, it's amazing what the food and sleep schedule, because I felt shitty yesterday when I was working out. Like, I was like, oh, but I had eaten like an asshole all day. Like, we had cupcakes, we had fucking, I had a couple beers like at lunch because it was it was Jason's birthday.
No wonder why squats didn't go.
Yeah.
Well.
So, but then today I feel great. Like, I slept good. I slept like 8 hours.
Yep.
And that's huge. Like, you underestimate how important sleep aspect is.
Yeah, the value of rest, man. I think even just this deload week is for rest.
Yeah.
I mean, my joints, the connective tissue is getting to rest.
Yeah.
Now I'm sleeping and I'm eating, and I think there's a lot to be said. I mean, I sent in check-in photos after 3 days of rest, and I felt like I was fuller. I felt good.
Yeah.
Like maybe my body's repairing, and maybe I'm growing while I'm resting.
Well, it's too also, and I think the deload week is important, but I think I was listening to, I forget who I was listening to, and they were talking about the fact that, they see people and they take a deload week every 4th week or whatever.
I think that's a bit excessive.
And then they were saying that's too much. You should take a deload week when your body needs a deload week. But it was what's his face, the world's strongest gay on Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Fuck, I can't think of his name. And that's his actual Instagram name. I'm not just saying the world's strongest gay.
He's a gay dude.
He goes
on
by
Instagram,
that.
and that's his Instagram.
But he was talking about, he's like, in order to progress, you have to push your body to the limits, and you have to continue to push your body to the limits. But if you're continually backing off, you're not really progressing how you need to progress. So he'll train as hard as possible for as long as possible. And he said he went like 6 months without a deload week one time. Yeah. But then he finally took a deload week, and the progress was huge.
Right. Yeah. I listened to that podcast. I like that dude. I
really like it.
I don't recall him talking about taking a deload every 4th week.
Well, no, he wasn't saying that he took a deload week, but he said that there's a lot of people that take a deload week.
Okay. Yeah.
Every 4th week.
Right.
And he was saying that he doesn't agree with that being
a way of
doing
I think that can maybe even hinder progress.
Too much deload.
Yeah, I mean that's there's a lot of room for progression inside of a 4-week block, and if you're only utilizing 3 of it.
Well,
or if you break down 8 weeks.
Yeah. You're basically taking 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
But also, I think a lot of people don't necessarily push themselves to the point where they actually need the deload.
No, I think that's very accurate. I think through this week, I realized when I was training, I'm talking with Steve, I'm like, man, there's a lot of people in here training exactly how we're training right now, and that's the fundamental of their.
That's their on weeks.
Yeah. So like a lot of people like, you're good. You can just continue training the way you train, and you never need to
take a step back.
Yeah.
But I just
did a lot of pump work, man. A lot of 20 rep sets, and didn't really go heavy, and focus on the squeeze, and a lot of pinky twisting, and
But there's a level to it, right? Like, because you were literally pushing your body so hard that you got to the point where it was hindering your, like, you weren't able to do ranges of motion. You weren't able to push the weight you needed to push. Right. So it was like, I legitimately need to take this step back.
And it'd be great to find that threshold before you hit that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, how?
But also, like, no, I'd say you were good, because some people would push it another week,
right,
and then maybe they get hurt, and then they're forced to take some time off. You know what I mean? But you pulled back when you were hurting, but like at an acceptable time.
I felt it in my knee. I felt it in my elbows, and I just knew, I was like, I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah, and that's huge.
And if I would have pushed it this week, because when I enter a week of training, I have an idea. I have a layout of what I want to do. I have numbers I want to hit, and I have movements that I want to progress in. So I was gonna try and progress.
Yeah, you were gonna up the weight on the squats, probably.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's how you fuck yourself up, dude.
Yeah. So hopefully next week will go good. I feel good right now. I've rested up, and
you'll probably fucking leapfrog over the weight that you were gonna hit.
That'd be nice.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you'll still go to that weight that you were planning, like maybe 455, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
But it's the benefits is gonna like slingshot you way above.
Yep, absolutely, man.
And that's huge.
The benefits of rest. You hear that, Jay? So no more Call of Duty till till 2 a.m.
Usually I do really good. This is the only night that I've stayed up and played Xbox this late in a while.
That's a thing too. Is like speaking of the sleep and the rest, is a lot of people are run down and they feel beat up in their training, and that's not because they're training hard. It's because they're not recovering.
Yeah, because
they're not sleeping.
There's a lot of boxes to check, and if you're only checking one,
So,
which is usually my issue. Yeah. Like, God, I feel like shit. Not just because I'm subpar training.
And I think that controlling the variables that require no talent is the easiest thing. It doesn't require talent to be consistent with your meals. It doesn't require talent to drink a gallon of water a day, and it doesn't require talent to get to bed in time to get 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely.
So if you control your sleep and you control your diet and you control your water and your training isn't going well, then you can know that it's now my training. I need to address something in my training. Without that, you have people that don't. Well, I don't feel good on my squats. Well, how much you sleep last night? I don't know. Yeah. What'd you eat yesterday? Not much.
What'd you eat today? How much water did you have today?
Yeah.
Taquitos.
Yeah. So control the variables that require zero talent, and then it's going to make progress in the gym a lot easier.
I think that's a lot of that's why a lot of people turn to gear. They're like, oh, it's the gear. It's like, no, they're optimizing everything outside of that. Like you see, like Phil Heath, dude's on point with his meals. He's probably sleeping 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
He's doing all this extra stuff, and then on top of that, now he's implementing the gear.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not the gear that got him there. It's all the little variables and then the gear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why you see there's so many people that will hop on gear and make no progress.
Yeah. It's a big epidemic.
It is a big epidemic.
Or you'll see guys that aren't on gear that still look like shit, even though they've been training for fucking decades.
Or you see guys that aren't on gear and look fantastic because he's,
like Brad Castleberry.
Like Brad Castleberry.
Did you see that, Jay?
I did see that. I watched that whole thing.
Natty Brad.
I wonder if that was a troll though. It's hard to watch.
Okay,
that.
I'm done with that. I'm done assuming he's just trolling. I think
I think he's legitimately that stupid.
Yeah, I don't want to go out and insult. Well, fuck yeah, I think he's stupid. I think that maybe he's naive enough to believe that people will believe him.
Yeah,
and it's not that he's not a strong guy.
He is.
No, he's definitely
super strong. And the whole fake weights thing. I never once thought it was fake weights. I really did think you had 700 pounds on the bar when you were benching it, but somebody was rowing it for you, man.
Somebody's rowing 200 pounds off of that.
Yeah.
Which is still 500-pound bench is still strong.
No, I have no doubt in my mind that Brad Castleberry could go out there and bench 500 pounds.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe he can.
Which is a phenomenal feat of strength.
Yeah. That's 1% strength right there.
I mean, we've seen him in person. He's fucking jacked.
He's one of the most jacked people I've seen in person.
Yeah, I've seen him at the expos with his shirt off.
Yeah. Dude,
he's super jacked.
Wild,
Yes,
but
San Jose.
it is.
He's just an odd guy, man.
He's a weird dude.
I don't really begin to understand him, so I don't.
But you know what? If he was natural, that is the most disciplined diet of all time.
Hey,
that dude is
maybe.
not. That dude is chicken and rice daily. If that if that was a natural physique, that dude is not cheating once. That dude is cardio every day. That's
I think even if he's on, he obviously has a very good
100%.
diet to maintain that physique. Because dude's in great shape.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, that's not just gear like that would get him to that. But it's
So regardless, there's a level of respect that I have for anybody that can be that regimen and that dialed in, because he is clearly following a good diet and he does work out hard. I can respect that.
Like Michael Hearn. Like Michael Hearn's another great example. Like he claims natural, and who knows? I'm not gonna judge him, but regardless of if he's on gear or natural, the man looks phenomenal at 50.
Yes,
and he's looked phenomenal for the last 2-3 decades. Like.
Right.
You can't fault that man's work ethic and dedication to that. And
no, you really can't.
Yeah. That's goals right there.
Absolute
When
goals.
I'm 50, I'm trying to look like Mike O'Hearn.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys want to call it here? I think
I'm hungry.
I think we're all getting a little bit hungry.
Where do you tell the listeners where they can find you on social media?
Oh, just Instagram, Justin_Shier, SHIER.
Gonna get into posting more stuff here recently in the near future too, I'm sure.
I made a post yesterday, man.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. If you didn't like that already, go check it out.
Yeah.
I saw it. It was the pre.
It was a fat boy post.
It was a fat boy
It was
post.
a fat boy post.
But
We're
jacked
starting
fat boy.
Yeah, we're starting prep right now. I'm 19 weeks out from. I'm going to do the Oregon Open.
Okay.
And then do the USA.
Get that Mr.
So and right
Oregon
now
title.
we're not really full swing, prep mode, but I'm just tightening things up around the edges and trying to get into a good place before we do start dialing in. So 16 weeks out is when we'll really.
And I'm sure you'll get a little bit more consistent with the content, and so
Yeah.
you can follow the journey through his Instagram.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
You actually have great content. So
No,
if you're
it's
not
great
following
content.
Justin, you're missing out on pretty cool
Well,
stuff.
thank you. I just it's when you're dieting and you're in prep, it seems like there's always something to share. There's little changes happening, and it's just not as pretty.
It's
during
an
the
exciting
off-season.
Well,
time.
you know what though? You might not think it's that pretty behind the scenes, but people need to see how much work goes into growing.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because some people probably don't even realize how much you're eating right now just to put on size, and
Right.
and how hard you're trained to put on size. Because
Yeah.
your training changes completely once you start dieting. Correct?
No,
It stays about
no.
the same.
I mean, I might dial back, in the last 4 weeks or so, but no, my training will be consistent, and obviously towards the end when my joints are drying out, you just have to make adjustments.
You have to scale back the weights
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, it'll be exciting, dude. I'm stoked for you.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'm excited to see, the run and see.
Yeah.
Hopefully take home a good placing at USA.
Yeah, I think I can do well. I don't have any expectations in mind. Obviously, I'd love to just show up and win, but it's my first national show, and
it's not like you're happy to be there, but you're
and I'm not the guy.
that
I'm not just going there for the experience. I want to go there and be competitive.
Yeah, well, you have to.
Yeah,
You're not going to be successful if you're not going in with
Yeah.
that mindset. So
definitely.
that's huge. Well, dude, I think this is good, and we'll have to get you back on.
Yeah, no, I don't.
As
I would love to
the
do
show
that, man.
gets closer.
Yep.
All right, guys.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, check out Justin on Instagram, and then check out his gym, Duo Gym, on Instagram as well.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you guys next time. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you guys check out the new YouTube channel for Not For the Week. That is where we're starting to post clips and stuff and cut up the episodes a little bit more. Make sure you guys leave a 5-star review for the YouTube or for the iTunes.
Leave us a damn review.
Leave a review. Tell
Come
a
on.
friend. Podcast is picking up. We got some good stuff coming up.
Comment, share, like, subscribe.
Yeah, all the good stuff. And Wes and I are heading to the Arnold next week, so we'll hopefully have a podcast from there. If not, we'll talk to you guys when we get back. And yeah, anything, Jay?
Listen, guys. Thanks for listening.
I thought you were gonna plug the cars for a second.
Yeah.
Big J's all
I
the
feel
sales.
like for a car.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Stay savage, my friends.
All right.